that one forward. Finds Carter Lowe through the neutral zone. Lowe waits, takes the shot, kicks aside, rebound, scores! Cole Bodwin!
Well, happy Family Day as we're on the road for this broadcast this afternoon between the Barrie Colts and the Ottawa 67's. I'm Mike Poirier, joined alongside Gene Pereira and Josh McCann, and it feels like an eternity ago since we last did a Barrie Colts game. It was Thursday night back in Kingston, and for this Barrie team, they've had a lot of rest to get ready for this one because this has a bit of a playoff feel.
Yeah, the team was in last night, had a team dinner beforehand, and at the hotel, got some rest up. And of course, their last game was Thursday at home, so they'll be rested against this Ottawa team, what's going to be a huge test for the Barrie Colts.
Now, for this Ottawa 67's team, they've lost back-to-back games. They lost Thursday against the Peterborough Petes and then a 2-0 loss at home to the Kitchener Rangers. So this is a 67's team. They've only lost 3 in a row once so far this season, and now on the verge of another 3-game losing streak. You know that Dave Cameron's going to have this team playing some desperate hockey here this afternoon.
Yeah, you look at a game like this, and you're on home ice, and you've lost 2 in a row, and this is a team that doesn't lose a lot, so they're going to come into this, and then look, they haven't forgotten that game before Christmas when Barrie came in here and beat them 4-1. So I think that's still very much on their minds. And look, these two teams know how important this game is in the standings, head to head, and Ottawa bouncing back. I think we're in for a really good one here today.
And we already saw that Ben Wilmot being named OHL Player of the Week. He's been lights out since coming over from the London Knights, and he just keeps finding ways to get to the back of the net, even strength, shorthanded, and even on the power play.
Yeah, and they're big goals too. Like, when he scores, I mean, they come up at key times, and again, just his complete game. You see, he's a 200-foot forward, and what's the Barrie Colts liked about him. But I think they looked for a boost in scoring, but he's certainly, I think, done above that. And whether it's playing on the top line with Bowden and Hemming, and he's fit in really nice as well with Gardner and Cilantra. So back on that line today.
And we know that Barrie Colt fans ready for this game this afternoon. We're seeing that the chat already lighting up with comments. Thank you, Richard, for $5 contributing to the broadcast here. And this just goes to show that this game means so much to both fan bases, both the 67's and the Barrie Colts. Barrie right now still second in the Eastern Conference standings, but a win here this afternoon would go a long way in trying to catch Brantford and Ottawa at the top of the conference.
I talked to Dylan Swaskos quite a bit about the standings. He doesn't really want to talk about it. He tries to keep the focus on just what they're doing for that game. But look, they've treated themselves in with Brantford and Ottawa atop the Eastern Conference. They have a chance to get home ice. And no doubt, we saw how important that was in Game 7 last year in that second round against Kingston. And, these teams, opportunity here. They're going to face Ottawa one more time back on home ice, Brantford twice at home. So these head-to-head matches could very much decide, the standings.
And the first two meetings, it's been the visitor that has won the previous matchups, Ottawa winning in Barrie, and then the Colts winning here in Ottawa back in December. But those two teams, that was pre-trade deadline. So now these are your lineups and how they're going to look here heading into the postseason. Ottawa also loading up, bringing in some veteran players such as Nick Sema. This is a group that we felt was maybe ahead of schedule, but the way they're playing, you got to take them seriously.
Oh, you certainly do. And, you had Nick Sema, who's just been outstanding since coming to Ottawa. And again, he's a big, heavy forward, and he's played really well. And then Dave Pitkowski on the back end, another key ad there. And, look, this is an Ottawa team. I think they're a year ahead of schedule, and they had a big decision at the deadline. What are we going to do here? Because next year was really supposed to be our big year, but when you're this good already, this quick, and Ottawa's done this a couple times over the last few seasons where they've kind of been a step ahead. It speaks a lot to the job that management has done here in Ottawa. But, they're big ads. I think they're right there with Brantford and Barrie. And, these games, look, this is a Barrie team. They've lost twice, once in the extra time in terms since Christmas. So it really speaks about the run that Barrie's been on. But Ottawa's been right there step by step ever since losing to Barrie. So this is going to be a classic. I mean, this is one of those fun games you look forward to, and you can see it and sense it from the players when you talk to them.
And the other thing, too, that stands out about both teams is the goaltending. Both teams have goaltenders that you can find at the top of the goaltending stats. Horebic and Jaswal, their numbers have been outstanding. But even for Ryder Fedorov, maybe the early candidate for goaltender of the year with just what he brings for the 67's team.
They took a 2-0 loss to Kitchener on Saturday. He was outstanding in that game. And, there's a little bit of controversy that he got kind of bumped in the crease that led to that first goal, deciding goal. But, again, he's been outstanding all year, and he's a guy that keeps proving him. The first bit, okay, he's really well. You think, okay, it's the team, but make no mistake, Ryan Fedorov is one of the top goaltenders in the Ontario Hockey League. Then you go to the other side. Everybody knows Ben Rebick, what he can do. Barrie fans quite familiar with that. But Arvin Jaswell is kind of moving himself into that picture as well. I mean, usually, you start the backups against lesser teams, but Arvin Jaswell, he's just been outstanding. So, goaltending has just been key for both of these teams, and it's going to be a huge factor going down the road here.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great show. Fedorov and Horebic going head to head here this afternoon from TD Place Arena. But while we have a moment, let's take check out our coach's corner presented by Mariposa School of Skating, where we catch up with Barrie Colts head coach Dylan Smoskowitz.
All right, catching up with Barrie Colts head coach Dylan Smoskowitz, and we were just talking about how Thursday seems so long ago. How do you keep the guys focused when you've got such a gap between a Thursday game and now a Monday afternoon here in Ottawa?
Oh, I think it's great for focus. I mean, they're getting a couple days off to relax. We took Friday off. They're going to recover. And we had a good hard practice Saturday. It's not that often you get to really push these guys on a weekend. So our Saturday practice was almost like a game. Give the guys a lot of credit. They worked really hard. They were very dialed in. And then Sunday, did some good karma, giving back to the community for Colt for a day, put a lot of smile on a lot of kids' faces, which was always fun. Jumped on a bus, and here we are today in Ottawa, ready to rock.
And on Thursday night, because I have to touch on it, Gabriel Eliasson scoring that goal. It's only his second of the season, but my oh my, that smile on his face when he scored, that was huge.
I think he was more smiling because he didn't have to defend without a stick. I think he was just happy for that because the stick blew up, and he didn't know if he had to play a 2-on-1 or something with no stick, which would have been tough. But the fact that it went in, and it didn't hold up as the winner, but it was got us on the board and got us the lead in that third period was huge. So a kid like Gabe, you just like to see him smile. He's just a great kid.
And now preparing for this game against the 67's team. That they've lost 2 in a row, but they're still at the top of the conference. This is a big matchup here. It's a bit of a heavyweight tilt.
Yeah, we just actually spoke about it as a group. It doesn't matter what the logo is on the other jersey or what city we're in. We're going to play to our standard, and we're pretty happy with our standard. We're pretty happy with the work we put in on a daily basis. So it doesn't matter whether it's a team at the bottom of the standings or top of the standings. We don't change our game for anybody. They're going to have to adapt to us.
And the last time we were here back in December, it seemed like it was one of the more physical games that we've seen on the road all season. And I guess we can expect more of the same here, playing that Barrie Colts style.
And you just said it. That's our style. It has nothing to do with Ottawa. We don't prepare more for Ottawa than anybody else. We don't want to be more physical tonight than any other game. That's just the way we play. We feel like it's a big advantage to us. We got a lot of guys who enjoy playing that kind of style. We got a lot of bigger, heavier guys. We're not a very flashy, pretty team. If we try and play like that, we're not going to have a lot of success. So we're going to stick to our ways. We're going to play Barrie Colts hockey and hope for 2 points.
So we're getting ready for this one here this afternoon between the Barrie Colts and the Ottawa 67's. And we just heard it there from the Mariposa School of Skating coach's corner, how Dylan Smoskowitz likes the feeling going into this game. It's got a playoff mood to it. And even though the Colts haven't played since Thursday night, he mentioned how Saturday's practice felt like a game. And you kind of have to do that to keep those legs in game shape, keep yourself motivated. And yeah, I don't know if anything else is going to get you more motivated than playing a team like the Ottawa 67's.
Yeah, you talked to Dylan Smoskowitz after that game on Thursday night, and he said, look, he goes, there's no doubt, the players, they see it, they see the standings, and they're going to get up for it, right? And, at the end of the day, it's one game, but it's a big game. And, both these teams want to prove to each other, who kind of rules the roost and up there with Brantford. So I think these are just fun games. And the fact that, Barrie's going to play Ottawa one more time back on home ice, and then they got 2 against Brantford. I mean, what a way to finish the season as we head into the stretch drive this OHL year.
Now, the schedule makers have been keeping things very interesting around the season. Of course, we talked a bit about how we spent so much time going up to Sudbury in the first half of the season. And then now this random gap, playing just one game this weekend. It's on the Family Day Monday. But, these teams, they find ways to adapt. But then you got that 3-3 coming up next weekend. Owen Sound, London, and Brantford. So that's kind of on the horizon here if you're the coaching staff.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough stretch. You face Brantford on the third game in 3 nights, and then after going into London. So, I think the Thursday game, obviously you got to be careful. Those trap games, you look at Owen Sound, which is really struggling. You need the wins no matter who's up against you. And I think that's the important thing. And, win the day, so to speak, as Dylan Smoskowitz says. But, that's first and foremost is this game here today. And, I think one of the key things to watch here tonight is the goaltending matchup. Ben Rebick and the Fedorov, hey, they know who's starting it across the crease, and they know what people say. So these two goaltenders, they want to prove who the top dog is in the Ontario Hockey League.
And then, of course, the other storyline, if you're the Barrie Colts, is Cole Beaudoin coming back to his hometown. Another chance to play in front of his friends and family. And we saw it the first time we were here in December, just how many people came out to support Cole Beaudoin. It'll probably be no different here, but for him, he's got to be pretty motivated to play a game like this in front of your hometown crowd and just to, play meaningful games such as this.
Yeah, he was dominant in that 4-1 win over Ottawa earlier, just before Christmas, the last visit here. And, again, look, he's a big factor. I mean, night in and night out, this guy's consistent play, again, his ability to kind of drive to the net, in on the forecheck. And, you look at the offensive stats, and I mean, that's the big thing. I mean, there's no question about his skating. He's put that to rest
Yeah.
since the first year. I remember I used to hear about that from scouts about, how good is skating. Well, what does he do? He works every day at it, and all of a sudden he's just outstanding in it with speed. And and again, it's a guy that there's a big reason why he's one of the guys that wears the C on the jersey for this Barrie team. And seldom do you sit there and say, hey, Cole Beaudoin, he didn't have a really, really good game. Never mind a good game. Like you say, a really, really good game. And he's just been that consistent.
Well, I even remember in the preseason or even the blue-white game, it's just a game to, get your legs back and figure out some of the up-and-coming prospects. But he's not a guy that's going to take a night off, even if
Yeah.
it's a blue-white game. That guy, Cole Beaudoin, he's just got that other level of intensity. And, of course, the Utah Mammoth selecting him, they've got a fantastic prospect on their hands. And it's going to be curious to see how the rest of the season go. Right now, sitting on 69 points, ninth best in the OHL. He's kind of reeling in the guys near the top of the points ranking.
Yeah, I mean, he's right there considering the games he lost at World Junior. But it's funny when I talk to scouts, they always look at players and say, okay, who's NHL ready? And Cole Beaudoin's name comes up a lot as one of the guys that might be NHL ready. And that becomes the factor that it's not just his offense, it's his defensive part of the game. The fact that he comes back, plays that 200-foot game, that he drives. He's not afraid to throw his body around, and again, he's a big body out there. And, I mean, this is a guy that he's going to be fun to watch. And, very competitive. And that's the big part. You want that guy. That's why he's one of the leaders in this team.
Now we're just over 2.5 minutes away from the start of this one between the 67's and the Colts. It's a full family day schedule for the Ontario Hockey League, so we will keep you updated in regards to the out-of-town scoreboards as we go along with this broadcast. As this is the last game to start for the OHL for this afternoon, but another player to talk about here is Brad Gardner, the overage forward back in Ottawa. This is where he started his junior hockey career, came over to Barrie at the start of last season. And even when Josh and I were doing our pregame interviews downstairs, everybody wanted to talk to Brad Gardner because if they don't meet in the playoffs, this could be his last trip here to TD Arena.
Yeah, look, I mean, exactly. I think you nailed it. Everybody wants to talk to Brad Gardner. He's just a great human being. I mean, pure and simple. Never mind his talents on the ice. I know last game that we were in here, I wanted to talk to him after the game, and he ended up talking to some Ottawa staff, and I never got a chance to. And he just had so much people, but people were seeking him out.
They want to talk to him.
Speaks about the impact that he had in the community in Ottawa. And no, look, I mean, there's no doubt, Mike. That he looks at that special. He started his career in Ottawa, and he would love nothing more than to be the story here tonight. You're going to get a full. I mean, you get it every night from him, but, he wants to be one of these impact guys for Barrie here coming home.
Yeah, so right now, Brad Gardner sitting on 24 goals, 25 assists so far this season, and he's been Mr. Consistent, especially when it comes to that face-off circle. So it's going to be a special afternoon for Brad Gardner as this could be his last visit here to TD Place. So the teams are now coming on the ice, getting ready for puck drop. We'll take a quick break, but when we return, we will have puck drop here from TD Place Arena between the Barrie Colts and the Ottawa 67's. So we're just about ready to go for puck drop here between the Barrie Colts and the Ottawa 67's. While we have a moment, let's take a look at our starting goaltenders, presented by Craighurst Crossing by Georgian Communities. New homes, minutes from North Barrie, where inspired living meets small town charm.
We'll start with the Ottawa 67's. No surprise. Ryan Fedorov, the 6-foot, 186-pound Pennsylvania native. He's going to be making his 33rd appearance this season. 24-6, 1-1, 1.99 goals against average, 926 save percentage. Outstanding numbers. Last start, that was Saturday, made 32 saves in that 2-0 loss to Kitchener. At the other end, for the Barrie Colts, Ben Rebick, the 6'3", 204-pound Milton native. He's making his 36th appearance of the season. Outstanding numbers as well. 22-8, 2-3 record. 2.72 goals against average, 924 save percentage. His last start made 29 saves in that 7-4 win over the North Bay Battalion last Sunday in North Bay.
Our referees this afternoon, David Alford and Tyson Stewart. And on the lines, Carter Teeth and Antoine Bougeaudreau. As we are just about ready to go here, the two teams lining up. It's got that playoff feel. And we are just about ready. The referee already giving some instruction to Bowes and Hemming before they even drop the puck. And we are underway. Face-off won by the Colts. Evan Passmore picks it up. He's going to chip it off the boards. That doesn't go too far. Hemming follows it up. Hemming, he stood up. Here's Zabeski trying to go to the net, but that's knocked off his stick by Connor Buick. 67's. They'll get to this loose puck and send it down the ice. Back to play it is Kayshawn Aitchison as he'll set things up. Passes this one forward. That's picked off. Getting a stick on it there is Kuda. Kuda will fire it, but that ends up going out of play. As you can just feel the intensity here this afternoon between these two clubs.
Well, you can see it right off the opening draw there. Both teams kind of pushing, shoving, already trying to state their case here. And last time the Colts were in here, they dominated pretty much all from start to finish. I think you're going to see a different game. This Ottawa team coming off 2 losses on home ice. They'll be looking to come back big tonight.
Well, Dylan Smoskowitz calls that Barrie Colt hockey. They want to be that in-your-face team playing that physical style. And we'll expect to see that here this afternoon as Zabeski will dump it in. Goes off the end boards. Back to plate is Morelli. He's knocked over by Bodwin. Bodwin throwing the weight around early as the Colts try and send it around, but it ends up at center. Aitchison back to pick it up here for the Colts. He's going to peel this one back behind his own net. Kayshawn Aitchison passing this one forward. The Colt player was knocked down, couldn't get a stick on it. So that's going to be an early icing call against the Barrie Colts.
Again, for the Barrie Colts, just one regulation loss since Christmas, and all that factors in here. But the important thing is you just look at the standings, how big this game is in the standings. It's hard to believe, but we're moving our way through this OHL season already, about to go into a stretch drive that, like I said, a lot at stake.
I think we're only down to 4 weeks remaining in the OHL regular season, and then it's going to be the postseason. As the Colts get it down ice, picking it up is Rummel. Rummel's going to set things up, passes this one across. It's Schkock again, passing that one ahead, deflected, so no icing, ends up back behind the Barrie net. Von Richter can't get to it. That pass is blocked. 67's trying to move this one around. Tied up there is Cooper Foster, the leading scorer of the 67's. Eckberg also there, has it along the boards, tied up by Schneid. He's going to take it away. William Schneid along the boards. He takes the hit there from Whitehead. Colts with possession. Hanser's going to come out from behind the net up to Carter Lowe. It's in his skates. He takes the hit. Puck's at center. Schneid trying to get a stick on it. Ends up back in the Ottawa zone. Rummel trying to corral the bouncing puck. It ends up in the near corner. Crombie throws the hit on 2 67 players. Ottawa turn it over. Schneid fires. Stopped by Fedorov. Puck goes to the corner. Rummel. He's going to drop it back behind the net for Ishkok again, and the 67's will look to move it out. Ishkok again to Whitehead. Avoids the hit from Crombie. Colts putting on pressure here as Ottawa just trying to get it out of their zone. Cone Ishkok again. He'll pass that one across. Long stretch pass. That's deflected into the Barrie zone. Eliasson there to pick it up for the Barrie Colts. Passes it up. Hanser, though, can't get it out of the zone. Puck goes deep into the Barrie zone. Back to pick it up. That's Sam McHugh. McHugh, he takes a hit there from Salandra. Colts trying to move it around. Salandra comes up with it. Backhand pass in front of the net. Picked up by Wilmot. He's going to send this one up. It's bouncing. Salandra collects it at center. Dumps it in. Salandra avoids the hit there from Bedkowski. Puck goes to the corner. Wilmot puts pressure on. Ben Wilmot, he's tied up. He's got Bedkowski on him. They're trying to move this one around. Wilmot's still there. The puck goes in the air. He's trying to bat it ahead. Wilmot, his pass goes off a skate. Still got Bedkowski on him. Puck goes off the back of the Ottawa net. 67's will move it up. Vandenberg flips it down ice. Eliasson tried to kick at it. Morelli couldn't get a stick on it. Ends up in the neutral zone. Ottawa dumps it in. That was Hubin sending it in. Harabik's going to play it back behind his own net. Here's Gabriel Eliasson setting things up. Still no score, just one shot to report, and that's from the Barrie Colts. As that's been a trend of late. Not a lot of shots in the first period as Govro gets a stick on it. Puck goes deep in the Ottawa zone, rolls on net. And Fedorov will just cover it up with 16:46 still to go in the first period.
A good shift by Ben Wilmot doing all the work in the corner and wins the battle in the one corner along the boards, gets it behind the net. And that's what you want to see, that heavy work. And already the start of this one, things pretty close to the vest. Both these teams, a lot of battles along the boards, and I think we expect that to continue here throughout this hockey game.
And Barrie Colts fans quite familiar with David Bedkowski, playing a couple seasons with Ottawa and Oshawa and Owen Sound before coming to Ottawa. As that puck goes down the ice, won't be enough for icing. Parker Von Richter has to play it, takes a couple of bumps, ends up at the point. Morelli can't keep it in. That puck's going to sail back to the Ottawa zone. Picking it up is Frankie Morelli. He's going to pass this one ahead. Puck's on the far side. Trying to move that one around is Chitterone. He's forced into the boards by Hanser. They continue to battle. Picked up by the 67's at the blue line. Taking his time there was Buick. Buick is blocked. Puck's going to go down the ice. Chasing after it is Wilmot. Morelli comes up with it. Frankie Morelli skates it in for Ottawa. On the wing, takes the shot, stopped by Harabik. That's his first save of the afternoon. Beaudoin's going to get it out. Here's McCormick. He's going to dump it in. Emil Hemming chasing after it. Fedorov out of his net, plays this one around. Puck comes to the blue line. Spitznagel trying to get it out. He was bumped into. Sima follows it up. Sends this one across. Rummel's going to send this one around the boards. Puck comes to the near side. Zabeski after it. Pokes it up to Hemming, who will give it to Beaudoin. Cole Beaudoin charging to the Ottawa zone. That's knocked away, and Sima will skate it out. Passes that one forward. Here's Jasper Kuda. Kuda trying to get around Aitchison. Takes the shot. Misses the net. That's going to come back to the blue line. There's Beaudoin again for Barrie. That pass is deflected. 67's with it. Up the middle. There's the shot. Scores! Top shelf, Spencer Bowes. And Ottawa opens the scoring. It's 1-0.
Well, again, the Colts allow Bowes to come up the middle and open ice, and he fired the top shelf over the glove hand of Ben Harabik. Yeah, I mean, that's what these games come down to. A bit of a chess match out there, not a lot of room, but Bowes just all of a sudden finds him wide open in that slot area and allowed to kind of walk in and just rifles one over the glove hand of Ben Harabik, and the 67's on top early.
You know, Ottawa pouncing on that turnover as Cole Beaudoin couldn't hold it at the blue line, and Bowes gets a break right up the middle for his 16th of the season. So an early 1-0 lead for Ottawa. 15:26 still to play in this first period. Face-off won by the Colts. Picked up here by Passmore, sends it into the Ottawa zone. Bonchek will send this one back. Ashkok again near side for Rummel. That's out of his reach. Passmore comes up with it, sends it across to Aitchison. Aitchison pass, reaches Schneid through center. Schneid avoids the check by McHugh. Puck rolls deep. 67's trying to get it out. Here's William Schneid from the corner. In front, all alone was Aitchison, but he couldn't get the shot to go. 67's get it out. Puck's bouncing. McHugh reaching for it. Eliasson gets to it first. That's going to go around the net. Picked up here by Carter Lowe. Lowe. That pass is picked off. Another break. Got sent wide of the net as McHugh couldn't get a stick on it. William Schneid sends this one forward at center. Crombie's going to dump it in. Calvin Crombie gives chase. First one on it, though, is Cade Campbell. He takes the hit. Puck comes to the near side. Puck's down out in front. Wilmot couldn't get a stick on it. Eliasson can't keep it in the offensive zone. Colts with it. That's Crombie. He's hit into the boards. A couple of Colt players are knocked over. Battle continues. Puck's in front of the penalty box. Sent back into the Ottawa zone. Back to play it is David Bedkowski. Bedkowski chased out from behind his own net. He's going to go for a skate. Bedkowski reaches center. He's going to dump it in right on net. Harabik makes the save. Puck goes to the corner. 67's putting on more pressure here. Foster sends it back, but not able to corral. That was Nick Whitehead. Here comes Gardner. He'll dump it in after being stood up at center ice. Won't be icing. Bedkowski back to play it for Ottawa. That's up the middle. Turnover right to Beaudoin. He's shot wide of the net. Picking up the loose puck is Wilmot. At the line, Von Richter stopped by Fedorov. Puck's inside the line. Ben Wilmot comes up with it. He's going to send it around. Hits a broken twig in the corner. Bodwin trying to send it over to Salandra. Von Richter dropping it there. It's picked up by Foster. Cooper Foster through the neutral zone. He's going to flip this one deep. Ends up in the corner. Foster comes with it in a battle with Hanser. Salandra gets a stick on it. Sends it over to Von Richter behind his own net. Passing this one up to Wilmot. Wilmot reaches center, trying to get around Bows. That's going to be sent right back into the Barrie zone. Approaching the 7-minute mark of the first period. 1-0 Ottawa. Spencer Bows with the goal. Colts move this one ahead. Hemming sends it to an open wing. Von Richter is there, puts it off the boards. Bodwin scoops it up for the Colts. Enters the zone. Ahead for Hemming. That goes off a skate. Ends up in the corner. Hemming gets it again. Ishcock again took it away. Loose puck picked up by Bodwin. Sends it across. That's deflected. Aitchison can't keep it in the zone. Bows. He blows a tire. Zabeski there to poke it back into his own zone. Mason Zabeski, the former Brampton Steelhead, sets up behind his own net. Zabeski's going to leave it there for his defense. Ottawa right now making a line change. Aitchison behind his own net. He's going to take his time here. 12:26 remaining in the first period. Aitchison behind the net, still there. Now he'll move it up the wing. Govro. Couldn't get that one to go in the Ottawa zone. Second attempt works. Picked up by Benkowski, but now we're going to get a penalty here for interference. So the first penalty of the hockey game. And this looks to be going against the Ottawa 67's. It's Spitznagel heading off.
An opportunity for Barrie. Again, the Ottawa 67's had that shift there with a broken stick and a defenseman without his stick, and the Colts were able to keep them pinned in, but not really get a good chance. But they're going to get a first power play opportunity here in this contest.
And this Barrie Colts power play brought to you by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. The power play right now, fourth best in the OHL at 26.3%. And for Ottawa, despite being a team at the top of these standings, their specialty teams has struggled. Their penalty kill right now, 15th overall at 76.3%. So being down by a goal here is a great time, if any, for the Barrie Colts to respond.
Well, yeah, when you get in these tight games, you want to take advantage of your chances on with the man advantage. And specialty teams always factor in big time. And Colts power play, they've been good all season pretty much. And it's an opportunity here to draw even.
So the faceoff will come to the right of Ryder Fedorov. Bodwin's going to take the draw up against Nick Sema. Faceoff won by the Colts. At the blue line, as Cole Emerton takes a shot, side of the net. There's a chance. Fedorov holding that post. Bodwin had a couple of whacks at it. And the 67's will get this one down the ice. Parebic, he'll hold it there at the side of the net. Power play now down to a minute 44. Emerton drops this one back to Hemming. ML Hemming reaches center, goes to Bodwin. Bodwin takes it in the zone, but Ben Wilmot just ahead of the play, and that's going to be offside.
Cole Bodwin got the puck at the side of the net. He thought he saw something short side by Fedorov, but Ottawa goaltender getting right up against that post and keeping that one out.
Well, Fedorov has to be considered a candidate at goaltender of the year just with his stats, leading in most categories for goaltending. And it's going to be a lot of work to get one by, but Bodwin had a couple of looks there. Puck will go into the Ottawa zone. Aitchison sends it in the zone, but they're just going to call this offside, and we'll try this face-off over again.
It's such a big factor when you have confidence in your goaltender. Really, it changes your game, right? It gives you an opportunity more, maybe to take that chance when you need it, that you know that he's back there giving the big stops. And both these goaltenders too, as well, when you get these tight games coming up with big stops. We've seen it from Ben Arevic and certainly from Ryan Fedorov here in Ottawa.
Colts win the draw. They'll send it in quickly. Morelli's there to pick it up. Blocked by Emerton. Now that's going to be sent down the ice. Vandenberg got a stick on it. We got a shorthanded chance here for Ottawa, but Aitchison knocked that one to the corner. Nearly getting a break with Spencer Bows. Bows already has one goal this afternoon. He's looking to add to his total. Colts power play now down to a minute 6. Emerton drops it back to Bodwin. Bodwin to Hemming. Hemming skates this one in, goes over to Wilmot, across to Aitchison, to the net. That goes off Bodwin's side of the net, blocked. Rebound, and the Fedorov able to pounce on that. As Cole Bodwin going to the net, that's going to attract a crowd as Connor Buick having some words with the Barrie Colts co-captain.
all sorts of traffic in front and Fedorov down, but Wilmot figures, hey, I'll fire that into that crowd, but Fedorov able to kind of snare that one, and Colts haven't really had a lot of time to get set up in the zone. They do here. What a good opportunity. Aitchison's going to take the shot, goes off pad of Fedorov into the corner, and Wilmot getting that puck out the front, sees a couple of both Bodwin and Hemming. But look at Fedorov there, just getting out that right blocker and stick and then hauling that one in.
So with that scrum, they're going to bring this face-off outside the Ottawa blue line. Face-off won by the Colts. Salandra, he's going to send it into the Ottawa zone. Around the boards it goes. Bedkowski takes a hit there from Gardner. Puck goes behind the Ottawa net. To the near point, Salandra. Joe Salandra passing this one across. Gardner settles it down and fires it over the net. And that's going to end up going back to the neutral zone. Von Richter, his pass is picked off. Here's a 2-on-1 for Ottawa, and that shot wide by Sema. Nick Sema with a great shorthanded chance. Now the Colts come back the other way. It's Calvin Crombie. Crombie holds on to it. Comes back to the blue line. Down low to Gardner. Brad Gardner back to Von Richter. Doesn't take the shot. Goes to Salandra. Sends it across. Gardner empty net scores. Brad Gardner gets that one to go, and this game is now tied at 1.
Look, you know, you often hear from Dylan Smoskowitz goes, we got 2 top power play units, and the second unit comes through here. And what an absolute outstanding pass by Salandra, that cross slot pass, and Gardner, Fedorov just not able to get across, and Gardner goes upstairs. And if you notice, Mike, you know, the Colts trying to go up into those high top corners, and I think they got a bit of a book here on Fedorov. You've seen it here early in that time, but what a feed by Cilantro right on the tape for Gardner, and he makes no mistake.
That's now 25 goals on the season for Brad Gardner, and that's going to come on the power play. As Gardner had all the room to work with on that far side. And as you mentioned, Joe Salandra, that great setup. And even seeing Salandra at the point, he seems so confident and comfortable there, just being that quarterback and setting up those passing plays.
Well, that's the second unit that we've seen for a bit here ever since the deadline. And, you know, obviously you look at Bowden Hemming, that top line, but, you know, the coaches keep repeating to me, look, we have confidence in both our power play units. And a lot of times, I mean, you look at the goals that have come out of this second unit, and it's just outstanding. And that time, I mean, just the chemistry. Cilantro knew where Gardner was going to be parked.
There's a face-off win by the Colts. It rolls to the net. Schneid couldn't get there in time. Puck goes to the corner. Schneid trying to send it in front. Newton to Lowe. Puts that one wide of the net. Didn't have a lot of time with that puck. It's at the side of the net. Ishkonkigan. He'll go back behind his own goal. He'll flip this one to the line. Schneid can't keep it. Foster up to Whitehead. Nick Whitehead carrying this one in. Hits the brakes. Fires. And that's blocked by Passmore. Puck's at the side of the net. William Schneid. He's knocked over. Backburn. Back to Foster at the point. There's Campbell. His shot blocked by Newton. Good work there by Jaden Newton. That's going to sail all the way back to the Ottawa zone. Fedorov out to play it. Leaves it for Ishkonkigan. 9.5 minutes still to go in this first period. It's been an entertaining one so far as we're tied at 1. Bose and Gardner, your goal scorers. Morelli. He'll dump this one in. Ekberg got a stick on it, so no icing. Back after it is Hanser. Hanser sends this one around to Hemming. Hemming knocks it down. He's forced to go back, facing pressure there from Cooper Foster. Chips it up to Zabeski. Here's Cole Beaudoin now through the neutral zone. He's got speed. Beaudoin on the wing, but they're going to call this offside as Hemming was just ahead of the play.
Beaudoin driving down that left side and trying to get around Bewick, and I think it was just that little bit of a turn he took that maybe sent Hemming just a that was a close one, but just a step outside or offside, excuse me. And Colts picking things up here in this midway through this first period. The power play goal helped them gain a little bit of momentum.
It's been a good pace to this first period. Shots right now 6-4 in favor of the Barrie Colts. Gardner's going to be tossed out of the faceoff dots. In steps Ben Wilmot. Wilmot against Vandenberg. Face-off won by the Colts. Hanser. He's going to dump this one in. Around the boards it goes. Von Richter after it. Collides with the Ottawa defender. Project sends that one up to Vandenberg. That's knocked away by Salandra. He'll send that one in off the linesman. 67's go back behind their own net. That's Rummel. He'll drop that one back. Ottawa's trying to set things up in their own zone. Rummel, long stretch pass. McHugh tips this one into the zone. Hands her back behind his own net to play it. Facing some pressure there from Krawczyk. Puck's in the corner. Gardner loses it to Vandenberg. Side of the net. 67's trying to put it in front. Loose puck back at the point. Ottawa will keep it in, but it's Von Richter who will find it and flip this one down the ice. Playing it there is Bedkowski. Being pressured there by Ben Wilmot. Bedkowski able to get away from him. David Bedkowski flips this one up. That's taken away by the Colts. Here's Joe Salandra. Backhand pass to Schneid. Schneid loses it. Puck goes in the net. Fedorov puts it to the corner. Vandenberg sends it up the wing. It's deflected, so no icing. Cole Emerton back to play it here for the Colts. Emerton from the side of his own net passes it up to Carter Lowe. Lowe enters the zone. Trying to send that one towards the net. Bedkowski in the waist. Gets it again behind the Ottawa net. In front, but can't find Crombie. And that's going to end up at center. Eliasson back to Emerton. Cole Emerton up the boards. Finds Schneid. Schneid trying to catch up to that loose puck. Takes the hard hit there from Frankie Morelli. Rummel gets it again here for Ottawa. Over to Morelli. Frankie Morelli from his own blue line up to Hubin, but he can't get to it. Puck goes deep. Taking a hit there with Spitznagel. Taken away by Schneid. Schneid backhand pass. Picking it up here is Evan Passmore. Passmore reaches center. He's going to dump it in. Ends up back behind the Ottawa net. Fedorov leaving it there for his defense. Connor Buick. Buick passes this one up. Beaudoin nearly got a stick on it. Puck enters the zone. Far side. That's taken away by Beaudoin. Cole Beaudoin picks up momentum. Carries us into the zone. Trying to get around the defender. Beaudoin with a lane to the net. Fires and hits the side of the goal. Beaudoin crashed into that end boards. He's still on his skates. Colts with it back at their own blue line. Aitchison trying to send that one in the zone at center. Eliasson, that goes in the air. Bouncing into the far corner. Ottawa with it. Picking that one up in his own corner. Buick loses an edge. 67's will get it up the ice. Picked up here by Eliasson. Up to Zabeski. Zabeski's pass is picked off by Sema. Sema with the move. He's knocked down. And that's going to be a penalty against the Colts. They're going to call this a trip. As Sema getting a great chance there, reading that passing play.
Sema the turnover there, and watch Eliasson's just going to come into him and just gets that right leg out. I don't think any doubt about that one. And after the Colts tie it on a power play marker, Ottawa's going to get their first chance with a man advantage.
So the Ottawa 67's, their power play right now ranked 13th in the OHL, 19.1%. Well, the penalty kill for Barrie, it's struggled a little bit. It's now down to 11th at 78.9%. Face-off won by Ottawa. Ishkok passes this one forward. Colts get it to the line and out. It's going to go deep into the Ottawa zone. Ishkok has Gardner putting on pressure. Sends this one around the boards. Vandenberg comes up with it for the 67's. That pass blocked by Lowe. Gardner picks it up, taking more time off this Ottawa power play. Gardner trying to move it along the boards. Foster knocks it free. Carter Lowe is there. Foster comes up with it, goes back to Ishkok and now the 67's will move it out. Going Ishkok carrying it in for Ottawa. That's dumped into the zone. Into the corner. Passmore tried to get a stick on it. Whitehead sends it in front. Knocked down by Lowe. Puck's bouncing. Picking up as Crombie gets this one out to center. Ishkok again for Ottawa. Sends this one over. Dumping that one in was Kuda. Ends up back behind the Barrie net. Colts send it around. Foster, though, can't keep it at the point. And that's going to sail all the way back with 1:05 left in this power play. Rummel. He'll skate this one forward for Ottawa. Drops this one back. Here's McHugh. Sam McHugh picks up momentum. Into the attacking zone. Sends this one around the boards. Into the corner it goes. Picking up there is Von Richter. He'll send this one ahead. That's kept in at the point by Rummel. One-timer stopped in front by Hrebeck. Colts are able to get this one down the ice, but there's a 67 player who's heading off. That's Sam McHugh. It looked like he blocked the shot with his right hand. He's in a lot of discomfort as he's on the Ottawa bench. Colts are going to dump this one down the ice, taking more time off the 67's power play, which is down to 21 seconds. Rummel in front of his own net. He'll pass this one over. Aitchison delivers the hit there on Sema. And the Colts, they'll get this one out. Good penalty kill here for the Barrie Colts, as that's going to go down the ice for an icing now against Ottawa, as this 67's power play unit seems a little thrown off.
Big penalty kill there for Barrie, and McHugh still feeling it on the bench. Passmore and Sema getting involved. And again, that shot, I think, hit McHugh right in the hand, and he immediately went to the bench. And you remember the last time these two teams met, that was Sam McHugh's first game here in Ottawa, and he ended up getting injured and missed a substantial amount of time. And you don't want to see that.
Well, that was a shoulder injury that McHugh suffered in that game. That was his debut after being traded from Brantford.
It's a big hit that time. It's a shot from the point by the Ottawa 67's that puts him right in the hand, the left hand.
That was that friendly fire. Salandra at the point takes the shot. That goes wide of the net. Power play has come to an end, so Eliasson is back on the ice. Ottawa regrouping back behind their own net. That's Spencer Bowes. Bowes is going to leave it there for Morelli, as Ottawa will make some adjustments with their line change. Skating this one up, Connor Buick. Buick, his pass picked off by Gardner. Cross-ice feed to Wilmot. Wilmot trying to go ahead to Salandra. That's out of his reach. Ends up behind the Ottawa net. 67's moving up. Spitznagel gets this one across, carrying this one forward. That's Chitteroni. Chitteroni trying to get around Emerton. Backhand pass, but that doesn't connect. Puck goes to the far side. 67's with it. That's Spitznagel on the far side. He's tied up by Gardner. Eliasson throwing his weight around. Those two are now battling. It's Gardner and Spitznagel as the Colts move it out. Ben Wilmot cuts through center. He'll flip this one deep. Rolls behind the net. Bedkowski looks over his shoulder, plays this one over. Bowes up ahead. 67's will move this forward. Brock Chitteroni. That's deflected. That's going to go deep, but it won't be an icing. Evan Passmore. He's going to leave it there for Kayshawn Aitchison. Down to 3:18 left to go in this first period. Right now, shot 6-4 in favor of the Barrie Colts. And this hockey game tied at 1. That's center. Whitehead flips this one into the zone, picked up by Aitchison. Kayshawn Aitchison. He'll put this one off the boards and up the ice to Zabeski. Here's Emil Hemming. Hemming goes back to Zabeski. Zabeski going to the net. Hemming takes the shot. Stopped by Fedorov. A nice glove save there from the Ottawa goaltender, but just before that, Frankie Morelli tried to throw a big hit on Hemming, but ended up missing the finish forward.
Well, Hemming, that release on that shot, I mean, that thing was targeted over the top corner, but great reflex there by Fedorov to get that glove hand. And again, this Ottawa team, they make you work every bit to get, over that blue line. I mean, they're not a team that's passive there and give you the blue line. They like to clog that neutral zone. A lot of Ottawa jerseys in there, and they just really make it hard for any team to come on the break. And even Cole Bodwin, who likes to kind of rush down to the ice and use that big frame. And, Buick doing a good job of kind of ramping them off to the outside. But like I said, it's one of those games. There's not a lot of room out there. And I think it's one of those games where whoever makes the most mistakes, you got to limit those mistakes. Barrie with a couple of key turnovers and ends up on one chance for the goal. And they got to be careful here because the Ottawa team can make them pay.
Yeah, and there was that one collision there where Bodwin went into the end boards, and that was a huge crash. But Bodwin seems to be okay, but he's just a freight train. When he carries that puck or he goes into the net, he's got a lot of momentum.
And Barrie knows that, Ottawa knows that. And again, they're trying to stand him up at the blue line. They're right on top of him, and it's something Ottawa's trying to do is they're not letting these Colts forwards come with speed through that blue line.
Face off to the left of Fedorov, won by the Colts, and that one goes in the air. And Fedorov gets a glove on it, and Bodwin and Zabeski both going to the net, so that's going to attract some extracurriculars, but nothing more will come of that as the linesmen quickly get between those two players.
Well, that blue paint, always a popular meeting area for teams after a whistle.
Well, especially after the controversy that happened in the game against Kitchener here on Saturday. Some questioning if maybe that should have been a goaltender interference call when Kitchener scored in the third period.
It was a big goal, a nothing game too, right? That was the difference.
Face off by the Colts, and Hemming fans on the shot attempt. 67's moving up. Whitehead passes it to Foster. Foster to the net, and Zabeski had his stick snapped. 67 still with it. Picked off by Aitchison. He'll flip this one up to Zabeski, who's got a new twig. Puck goes deep into the Ottawa zone. Morelli will come up with it. Frankie Morelli trying to get that one away from Zabeski. Here's Foster, leaves it for Whitehead. Whitehead across. That's Ekberg trying to go to the net. Stopped by Harabik. and he's going to cover it up. And now we've got Zabeski. He's in a headlock as the 67 player tying him up. That looks like it might be Ekberg. Or actually, no, that's Cooper Foster. So Foster and Zabeski getting well acquainted.
Well, Mason always introduced himself to the opponents, and what a job there getting a stick. I mean, had his stick snapped, and then within a second, he was that bench was ready to hand that stick to him. And of course, we saw Gabriel Eliason last game on Thursday against Kingston, and I don't think he saw his goal there that really started that outburst by Barrie the third that propelled him to the win over Kingston. But kind of, his stick snapped and he was going back to the bench after the shot, then not realizing that it went in.
We've been talking pregame with Dylan Smoskowitz. I brought up that goal from Gabriel Eliason, and Dylan was just saying, everyone was so excited to see him get that goal and that big smile on his face. It's such a good moment.
I was talking to him after the game, and I said, hey, Gabriel, a couple of years from now, remember, you always tell it was a heck of a shot from the point. It was a big blast. That's where you break it down. But that knuckler found its way, and that's all that counts.
So we've got penalties handed out to both Cooper Foster and Mason Zabeski. So it's going to be 4-on-4 hockey for a full 2 minutes. We have 2:21 left in this first period, and they're going to bring this face-off to the right of Ben Horevic. Vandenberg will line up to take the draw against Brad Gardner. So these two will set up. Face-off won by the Colts. Good win there by Gardner. Puck goes behind the net. Justin Hanser facing pressure there from Vandenberg. He's going to skate it out himself. Hanser, backhand pass to Wilmot. Wilmot enters the zone to the net. Blocked by Rummel. Puck's loose. Hanser trying to get a stick on it. Puck sent to the corner. Picking it up is Bedkowski. He takes a big bump from Hanser. Hanser to the net. Gardner took a couple of whacks. It was sitting there, but the 67s will move it up. Sam McHugh on the ice. That's good news for Ottawa fans. McHugh skates this one in, drops it back to Rummel, goes back to McHugh. Sam McHugh along the boards, leaves it for Vandenberg. Vandenberg off the boards, fans on the shot attempt. Gardner able to get to the loose puck, ends up in the corner. He'll send this one around. Colts backhanded up. Here's Ben Wilmot. Wilmot enters the zone. 2-on-1 here for Barrie. Wilmot to Von Richter. Cross shot scores! Parker Von Richter! And the Barrie Colts have their first lead of the afternoon. It's 2-1.
Well, what an absolute beauty set up by Ben Wilmot. The Colts get the odd man advantage, and they make Ottawa pay. There's Parker Von Richter, who just, you talk about, you bring a guy like that, he's going to play big minutes, but he also brings the offense, and smart enough to jump into the play there. And what a shot upstairs to beat Fedorov, but what a setup by Wilmot. A ton of speed and no chance for Fedorov coming across that blue paint, as Von Richter just had that one teed up.
Parker Von Richter now 8 goals on the season, just suddenly joining Ben Wilmot on that 2-on-1 rush, and it pays off as the Colts up 2-1 on Ottawa. That's deflected before the red line, so an icing call here against the 67s. But it's both goals kind of similar. Cross-ice feeds and top shelf. And you mentioned maybe the Colts have a book here on Fedorov.
Might be a little bit. You see them, try to go upstairs on Fedorov. And that one, really no chance. That was just a perfect setup by Wilmot. And, I think Parker Von Richter was ready for that one for about 15 minutes. He had that one lined up. Just hammered it.
He was out on the Rideau Canal waiting for that one. Puck's in the corner. 67's trying to move it out. That's Rummel facing pressure there from Calvin Crombie. Picked up by Salandra. Salandra cuts to the middle, takes the shot. Crombie was diving in front of Fedorov. Here's Kayshawn Aitchison along the boards. Puts it towards the net. Crombie back to Aitchison up the middle. Here's Salandra, just tips it wide. Crombie sending it back to Aitchison. Aitchison, toe drag, knocked off his stick. 67's trying to get it out. Salandra takes a whack at it. But now Buick will move it forward. Here's Bowes. Bowes, his pass blocked by Emerton. Colts get it out. It is still 4-on-4 for another 14 seconds as we're in the final minute of the first period. Morelli carries this one in after Bowes was dumped. Here's the 67. Shot stopped by Horevic. Sent in front. Morelli can't get a stick on it. Now it's back at the blue line. Ekberg to the nets, and that's taken away. Aitchison turns it over. Ekberg hits the crossbar. And that's going to go out of play. What a chance there, Philip Ekberg, as he picked off that pass from Aitchison.
End-to-end opportunities. Solandra just couldn't get a stick on that one in front of the Ottawa net. And might have been 3-1. Then the play goes back up the ice there and off the crossbar. And wow, I mean, what action here, end-to-end here to the end of this first period.
16 seconds left here in this first period, and it's been an entertaining one here at TD Place Arena. Colts win the faceoff. Here's Emil Hemming. Hemming enters the neutral zone. He'll carry it in for the Colts. Hemming forced around the net. In front goes to Beaudoin. It's in a couple of skates. Sebeski finds it here for the Colts. 1 second left, and there's the buzzer as Cooper Foster delivered a hit at the buzzer on Sebeski up high, and this is now going to generate a crowd in front of the Ottawa net. Sebeski and Foster, they've had quite the battle here this afternoon. And no surprise also, Gabriel Eliasson finding his way in the middle of that scrum.
Well, we've seen a lot of this pushing and shoving. Yeah, these two teams, 4 times they're going to face each other. They don't often face each other often, but hey, you can tell something's at stake here. A solid first period. The Colts maybe sensing a little bit of blood in the water after that second goal, tried to add to it. Great chance by Solandra, but Ottawa comes right back with a great opportunity themselves and wire one off the crossbar.
Now, because of the unique setup of TD Place Arena, both teams have to skate off down the same tunnel. And right now, the linesmen making sure that they don't cross paths as we knew this was going to feel like a playoff game. And boy, oh boy, this game, it has delivered with some exciting plays, exciting chances, and a lot of physicality here.
That's one of the unique features about the rink here is the both teams get to go off at the same end. But, this is pretty much, I think what we expected. I mean, things were really tight out there. They opened up a little bit of time. And again, Barrie's forecheck. I mean, Ottawa's going to try to stand them up at the blue line. But the Colts, they're able to penetrate with those big bodies. And they had a few scoring chances. And again, the turnovers, it's something they're going to have to limit. A couple of Ottawa's chances that came mostly off of turnovers. And it's something Barrie's going to have to be aware of.
Well, especially there in the last few seconds when Kayshawn Aitchison, obviously he just wants to get it out of the zone, relieve the pressure, but Ottawa knows it. They're sitting there on the line, and they were able to pick off that pass and get one off the crossbar. So for the Colts, yes, you're up by 1, but one missed pass, and Ottawa, they could be right back in this hockey game.
Yeah, it's that close. I mean, that's what you expected between these two teams. And, it's just interesting watching. Ottawa loves to flood that neutral zone. A lot of jerseys there. They make the Colts work to get over the blue line for Barrie again. A couple of times there with the passes, a little bit errant there. You saw Kayshawn Aitchison. This Ottawa team, they got some offense as well. And, I think it was pretty much what we expected, a tight first period, but not a bad first period if you're a Barrie Colts fan.
So before the game, Josh McCann had a chance to catch up with Cole Beaudoin, the Ottawa native, coming back here into his home rink, playing in front of friends and family. Not sure how many are here tonight. I would expect at least a couple of dozen. That's what it seemed like last time. But Cole Beaudoin loves playing here, loves coming back to Ottawa. And it's kind of too bad that this, for him, he doesn't get to come here as often.
No, and when you're in Canada and you saw it last time with his family, and look, it's a bit of a trip to go to Barrie to follow him there and in the games. And I think for him, there's no doubt you come home, you want to play big, right? And we talked about Brad Garner with facing his former team, and you want to show your family, right? You come here, and Cole Beaudoin certainly did the last game in a pretty good first period again here tonight.
So here's Josh McCann's conversation with Cole Beaudoin pregame here at TD Place Arena.
We're joined by Colts forward Cole Beaudoin. Cole, I guess you got to be pretty thankful for the way the schedule worked out, getting to come back home here on Family Day.
Yeah, it's amazing. Obviously, anytime I get to play in front of my hometown, it's a good time, and I got a lot of people coming, so it's exciting.
Now, when you get up here, obviously in Ottawa, these two teams, two of the top teams in the conference, have you thought about getting to play maybe a playoff series in your hometown here?
Yeah, obviously if it happens, that'd be pretty cool, but I'm just kind of looking at the last bit of this regular season, looking game by game and just focusing on that. But if it were to happen, that'd be pretty cool.
Now, a big week for you guys, 4 games. How do you prepare with such a tight schedule here?
Yeah, just kind of stretching, making sure you do your warm-up before games, your cool-down after games. Just that little stuff helps by the end of the 4th game in 6 days. It's obviously a lot, but I think if our group does that, I think we'll be good.
Obviously, you guys came up last night, or a lot of the guys I've talked to have said they prefer these longer trips with the hotel and the bus and everything. Do you feel the same as well?
Yeah, I think breaking it up, getting that drive. Obviously, it's a long drive, so kind of breaking it up and staying in a hotel, gonna get the legs under yourself, and then being able to come in this morning and being actually in Ottawa, it definitely helps the body a lot.
Now, you guys made 3 big additions at the trade deadline, and you've probably been the most familiar with all those guys, playing with Sebeski, playing with Wilmot, and then Parker Von Richter on the power play as well. What's it been like with those additions?
Yeah, all 3 of them help in a different way. I think that's something we talk about as a team, is just playing your role, whatever that might be, if that's a kind of checking, powerful kind of player, or if that's trying to get goals or playing more of a skill role, or like P-Bar does really well playing his two-way game in the back there. It's each guy plays their role really well, so they help us a ton.
2 power play goals against Kingston for you guys the other night. Kind of feels like with that group of 5 you got going out there, it doesn't really matter who has the puck. The defense has to be pretty careful because they can definitely score.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got a lot of trust in whoever we have out on the power play. If it's whatever, being Emerton or Cash, our unit, or the other unit, we have full capability in the power play going out there and getting one for the team.
Now, you and Kayshawn Aitchison, of course, co-captains. What's it been like this year for you guys? Obviously, probably one final chance for you, Aitchison, and Emil Hemming to try and win a championship here in Barrie.
Yeah, it's special. Obviously, I've been with Cash for 4 years now, and then been playing with Hammer for past 2 years on his line. So it's been super cool to kind of see the progression of their kind of games, but also just kind of get close with them, and they're going to be brothers for life. So hopefully go on a run here this last year with Barrie and bring it home.
So it's the first intermission here at TD Place Arena between the Barrie Colts and the Ottawa 67's. Barrie right now up 2-1 on Ottawa. This has felt like a playoff game here this afternoon, and we will get to the chat in just a few minutes. So if you want to interact, if you want to have any comments, questions, anything you want to talk about, you can put it in the chat message right now. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard as all 20 teams are in action this afternoon. All the other games started at 2 o'clock, so this is the last one to get underway. So after 2 periods, the North Bay Battalion up 5-2 on the Brampton Steelheads. That's coming after that 9-1 win yesterday over Niagara. North Bay is really heating up right now.
North Battalion rolling out. And again, it's a really good young hockey team. And, I think they're starting to squeeze much better here in the start of the second half for North Bay.
In London, it's the Knights right now up by a score of 4-1 on the Owen Sound attack. The game that all Barrie and Ottawa fans are keeping a close watch on. Brantford is in Kingston, and right now those two teams tied at 2 apiece. Shots, though, favoring Brantford 32-12. So we just saw Kingston on Thursday. It's a well-coached team, and Kingston's kind of had the number there a bit for the Brantford Bulldogs.
Yeah, they're finding ways. They stay in hockey games, and I mean, it's a well-coached club by Troy Mann. I think he does an outstanding job there. And even though they're clearly in the rebuild, I mean, they're a tough out. I mean, we saw that here on Thursday against Barrie.
Other scores to tell you about. The Flint Firebirds up right now 4-0 on the Oshawa Generals. That's going into the third period. After 2 periods, Kitchener and Peterborough, they're tied at 2 apiece. Kitchener been playing better of late. Same thing with the Peterborough Petes. Over in Sarnia, the Sting up 4-3 on the Sioux Greyhounds. That's after 2 periods of play. The Sudbury Wolves, they're ahead 4-1 on the Niagara Ice Dogs. That's Joe Bowen night at the Sudbury Community Arena. The Windsor Spitfires giving it to the Saginaw Spirit right now. 5-0 is the score there. And finally in Guelph, it's a 4-1 advantage for the Storm over the Erie Otters. But this is that point in the season now that we've reached the Family Day long weekend. These games, they matter a lot. And for the top 3 teams right now in the Eastern Conference standings, Ottawa, Brantford, and Barrie, these points, they're crucial. And with the way the scores are looking right now, it could get even tighter at the top of the conference.
Yeah, and you see it out there. I want to say, they have a Zamboni rider, eh? Barrie, if you ever do that, hey, I'd love to be that guy hitching a ride on the Zamboni at the end of the period. But no, I mean, look, obviously, I mean, the first period was intense. You can see it from both these teams in that opening 20 minutes. You look at its game, whatever it is on the schedule, but they know the implications here. For Ottawa, you've lost two in a row here. You come back on home ice and you want to make a statement. And for Barrie, I think a pretty solid first period. I mean, they give up the 1 goal, and if they limit their kind of turnovers, I think they'll be better off. But some good pressure up front by Barrie, and they capitalize on the power play. It's a difference.
And Liam in the chat asking, what can tall players actually do to stay out of the penalty box if everyone around them are at a shoulder height, especially if you're a D-man? And we've seen that with Gabriel Eliasson. I know that's, a lot of people are hard on him because he takes so many penalties, but that is a tough spot to be in, especially if you're a defenseman. You want to be physical, and sometimes even just moving your shoulder, you're making head contact with some of these players.
Yeah, I talk to Gabriel Eliasson about that all the time, and he says, "Look, you're mindful of it, but sometimes you just go in to make the hit, and next thing you know, like I said, the guy's smaller, and you're in around the head, and you got to be careful of that." But I think for Eliasson, when you get the idea that, hey, I'm not going to change my game. That's what he feels he is. He's a physical presence. Kind of, he takes pride in his, defensive, being that defensive defenseman. And being that physical guy back there, but it's something that certainly got to be aware of, and you hope that officials are aware of too. With because sometimes obviously you see these big hits, there's a size difference, and sometimes it does lead to penalties.
And that's where too you just have to be mindful as that defenseman to be like, okay, is this the time to be overly physical and to throw that hit, because that as soon as you make contact, and we've seen so many times where as soon as there's contact to the head, the referee's arm is going to go up right away. And, this is a development league. And even for those big defensemen, that's something that you got to learn.
Yeah, and the truth is, in this Ontario Hockey League, especially probably the last 10, 15 years, I mean, concussions have become a big factor, right? And any kind of hit to the head or anywhere near the head is something that the league is really trying to avoid and affect. And, you got to be conscious of that when you're out there on the ice.
Yeah, so that's a great question there, Liam, as the game continues to evolve and you want players to play that physical style, but it's also knowing that line. And with this Barrie Colts, they do play that physical style. That's Dylan Smoskowitz keeps saying it. It's Barrie Colts hockey, the forecheck, getting there and being physical and creating those turnovers. And it's worked at the National Hockey League level. If you look at teams in recent history, like the Florida Panthers winning Stanley Cups, they win those Stanley Cups because they're playing that physical style and in your face.
Yeah, you want to be a team that teams don't like playing against, right? That heavy style, and that's Barrie. I mean, look at the way they're built. Even the Govros, the McCormicks, the big Desiderios, those guys, they're kind of like the meat and potatoes. They get in there and they're just big physical guys. And tell me, what you're a defenseman, you're going back to retreat the puck and you're going to get hit every time. I mean, that starts to wear on you after a while, and it wears you down on the ice as well. And that's a big factor. I mean, Barrie just plays physical up front, and I think it's a huge part of their success, and it's a big part of their game planning. And when you look at it too, with the way they're drafting, you see bigger bodies coming in with Barrie. And I always, through the years, Mike, you see, obviously, you always get the high end skill guys that you want on your team. But, I often hear like GMs and director of scouting, they're looking for that big power forward type, the guy that
Yeah.
can add some offense, but it's just a big physical guy there that gets in the corners and stuff. Those guys are so valuable when they come. And, that's, I mean, Shamir Moses, when Barry took him, that was the idea with him, and they end up giving him up to make a run. So you bring in other guys, and that's what you're looking for.
And then you also want your big defensemen in the back end, your stay-at-home guys, Passmore, Eliason, and you want to make things difficult before check. But even in your own zone, you want to be able to find ways to get players out from in front of the net. Let Ben Horebic, let Arvin Jaswal see the traffic in front. So that's you got to be physical at both ends, but you still remember you got to draw that line and not cross it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously penalties. Look up here, Barry team. They had a trouble issues with the penalties early on. I mean, we're getting a lot in the box. They've been much better through really, about 2/3 of the way here since maybe November. I think they started turning things around in that manner. But again, it's keeping that of mind that when you go out there, you want to be physical, but you don't want to get your team in trouble. And a lot of these teams, the OHL teams, you give a chance in the power play, they're going to bury you, right? They take advantage. These are all teams got like they got at least five guys that are really highly skilled that are going to make you pay. But for Barry, I think that's the big style. Like, I always bring up the word heavy, just that heaviness out there that they know that when the defenseman, the puck goes in the corner, or whether even it's in their own end, you got big Gabriel Eliason or Passmore coming at you or Aitchison, you're going to pay a price.
I'm still wondering why we don't sometimes see Eliason standing in front of the net on a power play. He's got that big frame. We now know he can get goals. He's got 2 on the season. So why not once in a while change things up? Put the big defenseman in front of the net.
Well, it's always, a big factor. You get those guys that like to park themselves in front of the net and kind of be that disturber. But I think with H, it probably prevents him is that shot.
Yeah, that's true.
Howitzer of a shot. And you see Barry on that power play. They love to set him up at that face-off dot one timer for good reason. Is that success? So no Keyshawn, of late, he's certainly got a lot of chances, but he does so much all over the ice, defensively, obviously. He's a big physical presence. He's a leader on this team. And again, just his offense that he brings up there, he's always dangerous every time he's out there.
And we're also seeing, too, that, with teams expecting Keyshawn Aitchison to take that shot, we're starting to see other players open up. Even Cole Emerton had that great power play goal against Kingston Thursday night. And I think we're starting to see that transition where other players are now getting more of those opportunities because too many teams loading up to try and prepare for that one-timer from Keyshawn Aitchison.
Emerton was a big part of the power play throughout this season, right? And, I was kidding with him. I said, look, you had that one beautiful goal in Sudbury there in a big shot. And then he had another one the other night. And it's like, look at that shot, use that shot. And he just kind of smiled. And, he said, look, I mean, they all know what their role is out there. And, it's all about that. I think Emerton's going to be, I mean, he's already a huge factor here in his rookie season. You're seeing that.
Well, even having him playing there with Gabriel Eliason here this afternoon, you got your stay-at-home defenseman, but you have Emerton who has that offensive capability. He's got that great pass, but it would be nice to see that shot a little more often. But I think it's coming, and this is something that Barrie Colts fans can really look forward to in his development over these next couple of seasons.
Well, look at Justin Hanser, right? I mean, earlier in that first period there, he was down in the corner, defenseman, and, he led to a good scoring chance. He got the puck out in front and, kind of bodied the Ottawa defenseman off the puck and threw it out front again. And, you see the confidence that he's taken in his offensive game, right? That to chip in offensively. There's another guy who's kind of big, plays that physical role in the back end. And all of a sudden he's taken his game to another level that he can do that. He can go up, pinch in, knows when to kind of pinch in and come back. And it's all about making the right decisions when you want to pitch in offensively. Obviously, you don't want to leave your team short back. And Barrie does a good job, like, the Cilantras, the Hemmings, of getting back there when their D-men do go in deep.
So the Barrie Colts are out on the ice, but still no signs of the Ottawa 67's. Now they're coming. You kind of wonder if maybe in that first intermission, Dave Cameron maybe having some strong words here for the 67's. Right now, down by 1 going into the second period.
Well, I laugh. I mean, that obviously, congratulations, Dave Cameron, on his 1,000th OHL game. And, he's a great guy. And, it's just funny, him talking about how much this team, Ottawa team, and how close they are and how much they mean to him and how much of a fun bunch it is. And then, I watched him the other night against Kitchener on the bench, and he was just giving it to them. So, Dave's not going to hold back. I mean, that's his coaching style, and he's had a ton of success with it over the years.
Yeah, one of the more veteran coaches in the Ontario Hockey League. And right now, his team down by 1. Shots right now 9-6 in favor of the Barrie Colts, as Fedorov has been the busier of the two goaltenders this afternoon. But if that first period is any indication of what's in store this second, this is going to be a fun 20 minutes of play here to see who can start to take over this hockey game.
Well, looking at the first period stats there, Barrie just dominating in the faceoff circle, 14-6. If they can keep up, that's going to be a big factor moving through this game. Obviously, it's all about getting possession of that puck. Barrie doing a good job in that first period off the draw.
So the second period underway. Ottawa gets it into the Barrie zone right away. Puck's in the corner. Kuda has that one go off his stick. Puck's in the corner. Aitchison trying to tie him up. At the blue line, it's Buick. He'll send it over to Morelli. Morelli takes the shots, and Hrebeck the save. Meanwhile, you've got Evan Passmore trying to clear out Nick Sema from trying to park himself in front of the net, something that we were just talking about during the first intermission.
Sema is going to be there, and he's one of those guys. I mean, you talk about great additions at the deadline. I mean, he just brings that physical element. This guy's not afraid to go anywhere on the ice, and he's been such a great addition for Ottawa. And Evan Passmore getting involved there. And those big bodies, we're going to see a lot of those battles through the remainder of this game.
Face off to the right of Hrebeck, won by the 67's. Here's Morelli at the point, takes the shot, blocked by Beaudoin, and that puck's going to sail down the ice. Back to play it here for Ottawa is Spencer Bowes. Bowes sends it up. It's picked off by Aitchison. Keishon Aitchison along the wing to the net, deflected by Zabeski as that goes over the goal into the corner. Colts throwing a couple of hits there as the puck sent down the ice. Aitchison from his own blue line will dump it in. That goes over the net as it was a delayed offside. Morelli will come to play it here for Ottawa. Back behind their own net, Connor Buick. He's going to take his time. Both teams are right now making changes. As the first minute of the second period goes by, Buick passes it up to Morelli. Morelli's pass off of Carter Lowe. 67's dump it in. Puck goes to the corner. Von Richter. After it, Spitznagel on the forecheck. Colts come up with it. Carter Lowe puts this one across to Crombie. Calvin Crombie chips this one up to Schneid. Schneid's going to send it deep. Fedorov behind his own net to play it. He's going to leave it there for his defense. Carrying this one forward, Brock Chitteroni. Sends it across. That's going to go into the Barrie zone. Spitznagel is tied up there by Von Richter. Ends up behind the net. Von Richter with a hit there on Spitznagel. Picked up here by Hanser. Hanser drops it back to Lowe. Passes it up into the skates of Crombie. 67's will just dump it right back in. We got a penalty call coming against Barrie as it was a late hit. Crombie, but now Crombie trying to drop the gloves here with Konishkok again. As Crombie trying to take the Ottawa defenseman to the penalty box with him. Was those two tied up right away? It was originally going to be called on Crombie for the late hit. But we'll see if Ishkokigan's going to go off as well. It's going to be a cross-check.
Crombie was off, and then got a hold of Ishkokigan. It looks like both penalty boxes are open right now, and I think Barrie might. No, it looks like it'll just be Crombie that's going off.
Well, I think he's also getting an unsportsmanlike because he dropped the gloves and just started throwing punches at Konishkok. I don't think the Ottawa defense is getting a penalty out of this, so it's going to be a power play now for the Ottawa 67's. So a big chance here for Ottawa to get even at 2 here with the Barrie Colts as Dylan Smoskowitz wanting to have a conversation with the official.
Crombie went after the Ottawa defenseman and tried to get him looking to maybe even up the call. And Smoskowitz probably asking him about that.
Well, Ashkokian's now having words with Keishon Aitchison as they're lining up to take the draw to the right of Ben Hrebeck. So Jonah McCormick, he's going to head off to serve the penalty for Calvin Crombie. So it's just going to be a 2-minute power play here for Ottawa. So big face-off here for the 67's to try and get back into this hockey game. Brad Gardner is going to take the draw here against Vandenberg. One there by the Colts. Ends up going over the Barrie net. Low gets the line. Ishkokigan's there to keep this one in. Gardner, though, knocks it back down the ice. Kona Ishkokigan back to play it here for Ottawa. Sends it up to Whitehead. Whitehead will peel back. Whitehead to Ishkokigan at center. He'll skate this one in for Ottawa. Goes to Whitehead. That goes off the end board, side of the net. Hrebeck puts that one to the corner. Passmore gets a stick on it, and that's going to go over the glass and out of play. And that's going to be delay a game against the Colts defenseman. So suddenly, it's a 5-on-3 situation here for Ottawa.
Well, Evan Passmore just turned and tried to get that one up off the glass, and it just took off on him. And Ottawa 67's are going to have a minute 34 of a two-man advantage. What an opportunity here early in the second period for Ottawa.
So Ottawa's had some difficulties setting things up on the power play this afternoon. We'll see what they can do this time around. Is Cooper Foster now having words with Aitchison? This just feels like a playoff game here at TD Place Arena. Face off to the right of Hrebeck, Bodwin, Aitchison, and Eliason, the three players out there on the 5-on-3 for the Colts. Vandenberg set to take the draw here. He's got Foster and Whitehead on his wings. Ishkokigan and Kuda at the point. Face-off's in the corner. Aitchison tying this one up, taking more time off this 5-on-3. At the point, Ishkokigan, Kuda, one-timer, stopped by Hrebeck. Aitchison fires it off the boards. That won't escape the zone. Kept in by Ishkokigan. Near side, Kuda doesn't take the shot. Back to Ishkokigan. Down low to Whitehead. Nick Whitehead from the corner sets up in front. Shots by Hrebeck. And he'll pounce on that as Cooper Foster was given that puck in front, but couldn't get a lot on it.
Well, Foster parked right there the one time, and Hrebeck just stops that with his pads and immediately gets the glove on it. Not going to take any chances. Get the face off. Set things back up here.
1:07 left in the 5-on-3. Scrambled draw. 67's will pick it up. Ishkokigan gets it back at the blue line. Goes to Whitehead. Whitehead from the face-off dot. Takes the shot. Side of the net scores! Vandenberg parked at the side of the net. Was able to pick it up behind Hrebeck. And this game is tied at 2.
The power play comes through. There'll still be 57 seconds on that second power penalty. Well, Ottawa is going to continue on the power play, but chance there for Hrebeck. Whitehead right on the doorstep there. That shot, it went off the crossbar. It looked like the glove of Hrebeck. And then the post. And Whitehead right there to kind of swallow it in. Swat it in.
So for Thomas Vandenberg, 19 goals on the season. So the power play continues here for the Barrie Colts. 1:20 to work with for Ottawa. Foster enters the zone on the far side, sends this one deep. Vandenberg tied up by Hanser. Ends up back at the point. Foster gives it to Ishkokigan. Ishkokigan carries it down low. They'll set up Kuda. Back to Ishkokigan, near point. Over to Whitehead. Whitehead through the crowd. Ends up in the corner. Kuda trying to pass this one over. Knocked away by the Colts. Vandenberg chases after it in the corner. Far corner is Vandenberg. Sends this one around. Kuda on the near boards. Back to the blue line, Ishkokigan. Back to Kuda. From the half boards, Kuda down low. Picked up by Vandenberg. Kuda gets it again here for Ottawa. At the point, Ishkokigan doesn't take the shot. Passes it in front, but can't connect with Foster. Whitehead gets to that loose puck. Blocked by Gardner. Now it ends up on the stick of Ishkokigan at the point. Side of the net. Whitehead, that's deflected. Ends up going over the net. Von Richter took a swing at it. Battle behind the net. 25 seconds left in this power play for Ottawa as Von Richter continues to hold it along the boards. Now it's dug free by Ottawa. Here's Ishkokigan to the net. Shot stopped by Hrebeck. Cooper Foster picks up the loose puck from the sideboards. Takes towards the net. Down low Vandenberg. Back to Foster. Foster takes his time. Sets up Ishkokigan. Near side Kuda. One-timer. And that's going to go through a crowd. Power play about to expire here. Foster's pass deflected. Kuda at the point. Back to even strength. Kuda gets by Lowe. Ends up in the corner. Von Richter plays it. Carter Lowe settles this one down. Passes it forward. Goes off Gardner. Brad Gardner reaching center, goes to Passmore on the wing. Evan Passmore takes the shot, stopped by Fedorov. Puck picked up by Rummel. He'll send that one over to Whitehead as the Colts right now are making a line change. Moving it up, Andre Rummel. Rummel to the near side. That's deflected. Eliason picks it up, rolls towards his own net, quickly sends it across to the boards. Cole Emerton's there. He's knocked down. Colts move it up. Here's Cole Beaudoin. Beaudoin carrying this one in, avoids the hit as trying to line him up with Sam McHugh. Puck's in the corner. 67's throwing their weight around at the blue line. Eliason, his shot stop, rebound. What a save by Fedorov. Puck's to the side of the net. That's Ben Wilmot. At the point, Emerton. Eliason near side takes their shot. That goes wide. Off the point is Emerton. Colts keep it in. Wilmot along the boards. Up ahead finds Beaudoin. Cole Beaudoin in the corner, battling there with Rummel. Beaudoin stays with it. Back to Eliason. Takes their shot in the crowd, and that's tipped wide of the net. Puck goes to the corner. 67's trying to get this one out of the zone, and they will. Chasing after it is Chitteroni, but it's taken away by Gabriel Eliason. Hemming. He's going to go back behind his own net, settle things down a bit here. As we're approaching the 6-minute mark of the second period, we're tied at 2. Puck goes deep. McHugh after it in a battle with Lowe. Newton trying to help out. Carter Lowe up the middle. Puck's loose. Picked up by the 67's. At the blue line, Aitchison thought about playing if the Ottawa 67's get it out. Chasing this one up is McHugh. McHugh takes the shot, but it was blocked by Passmore. Evan Passmore puts it off the glass. Lowe knocks this one down the ice. Icing is waved off. They're saying that Connor Buick could have played it. Buick up to Grotchuk. That's going to go down the ice. Kayshawn Aitchison back to play it for the Colts. Chased out from behind the net by McHugh. Backhand pass. Newton got a stick on it. Snow icing. That's going to go deep back behind the Ottawa net. Back to play it is Buick. Buick stopped by Wilmot. 67's trying the other way. Morelli dropping it there for Buick. Buick takes the hit from Gardner. Puck's in the corner. Loose puck picked up by Vandenberg. Up ahead, the 67's knock this one out to center ice. Through center, that's Morelli. Frankie Morelli loses the handle of it, taken away by Salandra. Salandra up to Hanser. He's going to lead the rush. Drops it to Salandra. Across, but Foster was in the way for that pass. Gardner, he's going to put this one around the boards behind the Ottawa net. Wilmot picks it up in the corner. Wilmot back to the blue line. Hanser, but it bounces over his stick and out to center. Ottawa with it. It's Cooper Foster skating this one in. His shot deflected by Von Richter. Puck goes to the corner for Whitehead. That shot by Ekberg is blocked. Good stick work by Ben Wilmot. Wilmot's going to skate it out and dumps it in. Puck goes to the corner. Fedorov, he's going to play it. Back behind his own net. That's Bedkowski. David Bedkowski passing this one up to Ekberg. Ekberg through center, passes it to Foster. Foster trying to go back to Ekberg, but that's going to go through the blue paint. Whitehead in a battle with Zabeski. Cole Beaudoin, he's taken into the boards. He's tied up by Foster. Zabeski trying to move this rugby scrum. Beaudoin will send it back behind the net. Cole Emerton's going to give chase. Emerton, long pass, deflected, sits there at center. Bedkowski will move it ahead. That pass doesn't work. Colts move it ahead. Cole Emerton reaches center. He's going to dump it in. Fedorov, he'll play it at the side of his net. Loose puck. No one there for Ottawa. Beaudoin back to Zabeski. Fans on the one-timer. Zabeski trying to regroup along the boards. He's taken to the boards by Bedkowski. Beaudoin from the corner. He's tied up by Morelli. Zabeski finds it here for Barrie. Trying to pass that one back, but it's picked off by the 67's. And Frankie Morelli will move it up to Sema. Nick Sema. His pass deflected, sitting there at the blue line. Newton will chip it up to Hemming. Hemming's got Aitchison going to the net. Emil Hemming fires. Stopped by Fedorov. 67's can't get it out. Mason Zabeski. He tried to drop it back, but that's picked off by Sema, and Ottawa will move it up. Sema on the wing. Toe drag, trying to get it around, and that's going to get away from him. Kayshawn Aitchison up ahead to McCormick. He's going to dump it in. Govro on the forecheck. He's going to get to it first. Trying to put it in front. That was blocked. Picking up is Rummel. Rummel passing that one ahead. Puck's at center. Picked up by the 67's, but now we're getting a whistle as we've got Govro behind the play. He's in a tussle. Trying to see who he's battling there. But Luke Govro is brought into the lineup here. We'll be separated, and we'll see a couple of penalties here.
The Colts give up the power play goal to tie it, and since then, it's been pretty good. They've had some big opportunities. Fedorov having to make a big stop right after that Ottawa power play goal, but that's what you want to do. You don't want to sit back and give up that goal, get right back on the horse, and the Colts have done that here in these last few minutes.
So we've got Luke Govro and Buick, the two players in the penalty box here. But right now, it's just Govro's number who's on the board, so we'll have to wait and see if it's going to be a 4-on-4 situation or if the Ottawa 67's are about to get it. No, it's going to be a 4-on-4 situation. They just put up the number of Connor Buick. The last time around when it was a 4-on-4 situation, the Colts, they were able to score on that 2-on-1. So a more open ice, and that will result, I'm sure, in some more creativity for both of these teams.
Watch Ben Wilmot out there. I mean, just every shift is so effective. Whether it's making a big play in his own zone to strip the puck and get it out, or, up front creating offensive chances. And what addition. I mean, we talked about Nick Seaman, but what an addition Wilmot has been along with Sebeski and Parker Von Richter. But Wilmot, again, talking to Marty Williams, and just said, we just felt, he's one of those 200-foot guys, and you can see it. I mean, he's just been such a big addition for Barrie.
So we've got 11:08 still to play in the second period, tied at 2. Shots still favoring the Barrie Colts, 13-11, but this has been a very balanced hockey game so far this afternoon as Beaudoin's going to take the draw against Cooper Foster. Foster's actually going to be tossed out, so in steps Nick Whitehead. Face off, won by the Colts. Hanser trying to send it back. Morelli picks it off. Puck's loose in front. Shot. What a save by Harevich as he denies Cooper Foster point blank.
Ben Harevich had to be sharp there. Morelli comes in with a first shot and the rebound. Foster right on the doorstep there, and Harevich just gets that big shoulder out and falls forward again. Ottawa, the opportunity there, and there's the quick shot by Foster, but good stop there by the Colts veteran.
Face off won by the 67's. That's going to sail out to center. Owen Ashkokagin's going to take his time, skating all the way back in front of his own net. Ashkokagan up ahead to Foster. Foster carrying this one in for Ottawa. It's the breaks. Foster back to Morelli at the point. Near side Ashkokagan. Those two trade places. Ashkokagan takes it down low, trying to keep it away from Emerton. Ashkokagan trying to leave it, but that's picked off by Hemming. Colts off up to the races. Hemming trying to go to Beaudoin, but good work there. Morelli picks off the pass. Whitehead, his pass now picked off by Aitchison. Kayshawn Aitchison weaving into the attacking zone. That's knocked off his tape. And now Ottawa comes back the other way, 2-on-1. 2-on-1 with Whitehead. Whitehead shot, stop, rebound, puck's loose. Beaudoin can't hold on to it. 67 still with it. Ashkokagan in front, blocked by Hemming. My, oh my, 4-on-4, and it just opens up here. Hemming sends this one to an open wing. He'll get to it himself. Hemming has it in the corner. Here's Cole Beaudoin. He's got a lane, but Fedorov makes the save. As both goaltenders have had to be on point here on this 4-on-4 situation.
Well, you get that extra bit of open ice, and it just really opens up things there. And, Barrie had an opportunity at the turnover Ottawa, and then Ottawa right back after they turned the puck over with a good chance in front there, and Whitehead just can't get quite on it, and Foster as well. But these 4-on-4s, I mean, it can't be easy on these coaches.
Well, we've now passed the midway point of the hockey game, so 40 seconds left in the 4-on-4. Carrying this one in. Kuda back to Ekberg. Ekberg fans on the pass attempt, stays with it though for Ottawa. Ekberg keeping it away from Hanser, goes around the net. Philip Ekberg comes back to the point, passes this one over. Bedkowski waits, fires. That's going to go wide of the net. Rummel looking over his shoulder, takes a bump there from Von Richter. Loose puck picked up by Brad Gardner. Gardner ahead for Von Richter. Dropping it there for Justin Hanser. Hanser playing it. He's taken into the boards by Rummel. Loose puck. That's going to go back to the line. Wilmot gets this one out, and the penalized players are back out, so it's 5-on-5. Just over 9 minutes remaining in this second period. Von Richter back to pick it up for the Colts. Gives that one to Justin Hanser. Up ahead to Schneid. Schneid reaches center. He'll carry this one in for the Colts. Hits the brakes. Passes this one back, but doesn't connect with Salandra. That's going to escape the zone. Gabriel Eliasson comes back into his own end, facing pressure there from Krawczyk. Puck's in the corner. Schneid Lost it. Low has that one knocked off his tape. Ishkok again after the loose puck. Takes the shot. Blocked by Passmore. Puck's in the corner. Colts take it back behind the net. Here's Gabriel Eliasson. Up ahead to Salandra. Salandra puts that one ahead, but it's blocked by Morelli. There's a shot from the side, but Ben Hrebeck able to make that save as Braden Krawczyk just firing that one on net.
You can just feel the intensity just go up a bit there here. I mean, it's already pretty good at a pretty good rate here, but this game now, I mean, the tie game here halfway through this contest, and both these teams, you don't have to guess here. I mean, just how much this game means to both these teams, and Ottawa pushing back a bit here.
Well, Ottawa is now taking the lead on the shot clock, 15-14. There's another chance off the draw, but goes wide of that. Buick fires, and that one goes off Kuda in front of the net. Ottawa continuing to put pressure on as it's picked up by Cole Baudouin. He'll set up Hemming, and he's going to skate it out for the Colts. Emil Hemming reaches center, takes the hit. That's going to go deep into the Ottawa zone, delayed offside against the Colts. 67's move this one ahead. Icing waved off. Sema in the corner, takes a hit. Sebeski picks it up behind his own net, goes to Baudouin. Cole Baudouin reaches center, puts it across to Emerton. Emerton going deep. We got Aitchison tied up behind the play. In front, shot, scores! Hemming! He'll find the back of the net, and the Colts are back in front. There is protest here as Spencer Bowes and Keyshawn Aitchison, they were tied up behind the play. But either way, it's now 3-2 Barrie.
Well, what a play in the corner by Cole Baudouin, and Hemming just left all alone in front. I don't know if the 67s were distracted by what was going down at the other end, but just great work in the corner there by the Barrie Colts, and the big guns set up here. What a one-timer, and by Emil Hemming, no mistake, and the Colts back on top.
So a beautiful one-timer there from Emil Hemming as Cole Baudouin takes the hit in the corner to set up the goal. And for Hemming, now 20 goals on the season. So the Colts have regained the lead as the intensity just continues to build here in Ottawa. That's deflected, and that's going to end up going into the netting and out of play in the Barrie zone. So we'll get this face-off, but this game, it has come as advertised.
Cole Baudouin was on the seat of his pants in the corner there after that pass, and you could see him celebrating with his hands up there. He realized, Hemming left all alone in front. And you give Hemming, that kind of opportunity. He doesn't miss often.
Well, that's another one of those, you pass it across the crease and you get the one-timer goal. That's been the case for all three so far this afternoon.
Yep.
So they're going to bring this face-off to the left of Hrebeck after a brief discussion. Ben Wilmot's going to take the draw against Cooper Foster.
You can't hesitate on the release. Fedorov is so good getting across. You got to release that puck right away.
Justin Hanser, he's going to send this one ahead. Morelli gets it at center ice, passes this one over to Ishkok again. That pass is deflected. Far side, Slanter trying to get a stick on it. Morelli finds it. 67's moving up. Foster up to Whitehead. Along the boards, Nick Whitehead ends up in the corner, goes back to Foster. Foster trying to keep it away from Gardner. Spinning there in the far corner. Foster back to Ishkok again at the point. Showing Ishkok again. Takes us down low. Around the Barrie net. Ishkok again still with it. His pass blocked by Wilmot. Colts, though, can't get it out. Ekberg spins and fires. That's blocked by Passmore. Gets to the line again. Not out. Kept in by Foster. Foster has Salandra on him. Forced to the corner. Foster still with it. Foster gives that one up. Whitehead loses it, though, and Justin Hanser is going to move this one out. Hanser across to Wilmot. Wilmot catches up to it, but they're going to call this offside as Brad Gardner was ahead of the play. It was 6:34 left in the period.
Well, some good work there in the corner by Cooper Foster. Kept the Barrie pinned out, but Hanser able to get that puck out. And again, the battles along these boards going on. I mean, it is physical out there tonight. Both these teams not passing on the chance to kind of rub a guy out along the boards.
There's been battles throughout this hockey game as that pass picked off at center by Von Richter. He'll send this one back in the zone. Schneid dumps it in. Now we're going to get an offside as Carter Lowe is delivering a hit ahead of the play. He was going after Rummel. That made contact with him, and that's going to be offside.
You wonder how we move along here. I mean, Ottawa's had a really busy schedule this week, and then you got a Colts team here that's been well rested coming in and allow them to kind of play that top six a little bit more here.
Well, it's been a big weekend with opponents, too, for Ottawa. You had Peterborough, who's one of your top rivals in the East Division, on Thursday night, and then Saturday against Kitchener, the top team in the Western Conference. And now you have to play Barrie here this afternoon, and it's been entertaining. Carter Lowe has it behind that in front, but Schneid couldn't get that one to go. Newton creates some space. Ottawa, though, knock it free and up the ice. Skating this one forward is Spitznagel. That's going to go deep. Back to play it is Eliasson. That's a turnover. Bowes puts that one over the net. Having a great chance, actually, for Hubin. Puck comes across to Schneid. Schneid into the attacking zone, hits the brakes, sends this one back. Von Richter to Beaudoin. Beaudoin back to Aitchison. Aitchison settles it down. Von Richter, one-timer, but Chitteroni had the stick in the lane. And that's going to go out of play. But we've seen that a few times here, those passes. Ottawa's just reading them so well, but again, just not able to get that shot on target.
Well, nice job by Chitteroni again. It's those stick work and it's the little things, blocking passes and, get your stick in the lane there. And that time Chitteroni able to deflect it out, but 5:31. I mean, a 1-goal game. I don't think anybody's surprised that things have been this tight here through 40 minutes. Shots as well. Ottawa 16, Barrie 15. It's the Colts the lead where it counts on the scoreboard right now, but still a long way to go.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would be surprised if this game goes right down to the wire with how evenly matched these teams have been this afternoon. It's a 3-2 score for the Barrie Colts, but Ottawa the advantage on shots, 16-15. As both goaltenders have had to be solid here, both Ben Horevic and Ryder Fedorov. And we even said that in the pregame. That's going to be a matchup to follow, just the two goalies going head-to-head.
Sometimes the mistakes. I mean, Gabriel Elias, unfortunately, there turned it up and right in front of turned one over right in the Ottawa player in front of the net. And unfortunately, his shot went up high over the net, but that'll limit those turnovers.
Ottawa wins the face-off. They'll get this one out to center. Kayshawn Aitchison after it. Aitchison dumps it in. Picked up there by the 67's. Bedkowski sends this one down the length of the ice, and that's going to be icing. So they're going to bring this one back as the clock's now down to 5:16 left to go in the second period.
Well, I mean, just every shift means so much. I mean, you could tell it with both these teams. I mean, not wanting to give an inch. And with Dave Cameron's club here, I mean, you've had a busy stretch here, and a much better, I think, second period for Ottawa than the first.
Much better effort here from the 67's. They've just been pouring it on every chance they get. Right now, they're going to get the puck out to center ice, skating this one ahead. That's Spencer Bowes. That goes deep. Aitchison back to play it here for the Colts. Sends it around. That pass picked off. Emerton, though, he comes up with it. Finds Sebeski. Mason Sebeski through center. Puck rolled on him. Trying to get ahead for Beaudoin. It rolls on net. Fedorov juggled it for a moment. And then Bedkowski now putting Beaudoin into a headlock. And those linesmen will get between those two. And Beaudoin wondering why that may not have been a penalty, but play will continue here.
Yeah, and he makes his appeal to the official and kind of pointing at Bedkowski saying, did you see that? Cole does such a good job of kind of staying away from the stuff. He knows, look, I mean, Bedkowski Ottawa will be more than happy to take, dueling minors and get Beaudoin off the ice here with Bedkowski. And Bedkowski puts him in that headlock, and Cole's just trying to, then he points to the official. He goes, what's going on? You're right there. You saw it.
Just those small battles. That's all that was, right? Face off to the left of Fedorov. Gardner's going to take the draw here for the Colts. Up against Cooper Foster. 4:53 left to go in the period. Face off won by Ottawa. Puck rolls behind the net. 67's with it. Shkonk again flips this one out. Knocked down by Salandra. That's still going to escape the zone. Shkonk again loses it in his skate. Salandra sends it in. Fedorov behind the net. There to play it. It's a battle still between Ashkokigan and Wilmot. They had their Sticks tied up. Continue to bump there as the puck now comes out from behind the Ottawa net. Here's a shock again from his own blue line. Up ahead, Ekberg tips this one deep, so no icing. Back to play it is Von Richter. Von Richter in a battle there with Whitehead, trying to tie him up. Coming back is Ekberg. Ekberg stays on it. Von Richter throws his weight around. Puck goes behind the net. Hanser up ahead to Ben Wilmot. Wilmot spins and stays with it. Up ahead to Salandra. Salandra gives that one away to Foster. Foster, though, had his pocket picked by Gardner. Colts move this one in. Brad Gardner over to Wilmot. Side of the net, hits the brakes. Wilmot goes back to the line. Von Richter back to Wilmot. Ben Wilmot drops it there for Von Richter. Von Richter from the corner in front. That pass is blocked by Ashkok again. Puck goes to the corner. Salandra takes him into the boards. Salandra still with it. Puck's now into skates. William Schneid there to help move things along. Battle continues. 3:37 remaining in the second period. Schneid after it. Sends this one back to the half boards. Picked up by Lowe. He can't hold on to it, and Whitehead's going to skate it out. Whitehead dumps this one in. He's going to go off for a change, so Eliasson back to play it. Eliasson behind the net. Takes the hit there from McHugh. Eliasson then pushes McHugh into the net. Play continues. Puck's at the very blue line. Schneid up ahead to Lowe. Lowe kicks this one into the zone. Trying to get around Bedkowski. Lowe in front, hits the side of the net. Puck's loose. Schneid tried to get a stick on it, but the 67's send it back to the Barrie zone. Eliasson up to Crombie, who's back in action. Picked up there by Krawchuk. Krawchuk in front. Shot stop. Rebound. McHugh can't find it. And the Colts, they'll get this one out to center. Rummel there to pick it up for Ottawa. Puts this one off the boards. Vandenberg back to collect it for Ottawa. He's going to send it back. Colts right now completing a line change. Puck's deflected. Eliasson back to play it for Barrie. Goes back around his own net. Chips this one up the boards. Baudouin to Zabeski. Mason Zabeski flips this into the Ottawa zone. Gets by Rummel. Zabeski after it. He's tied up. Ends up behind the net. Morelli gets this one out. At center, skating this one ahead is Spencer Bowes. Bowes on the wing, takes the shot, stopped by Hrebeck. Picked up here by Hemming. Emil Hemming's got some momentum. He'll skate this one out, reaches center. Hemming to Zabeski. Zabeski back to Hemming. Backhand, what a play, but he hits the side of the net. Here's Passmore from the point, takes the shot, and it goes wide. Hemming gets it again for the Colts, passes it back, but that's picked off by Bowes. Here's Nick Sema on a breakaway. Sema shot scored! And just like that, the Ottawa 67's have tied this one at 3.
The Colts with a great scoring opportunity at the one end, and Hemming gets it off the side of the net. That allows Ottawa to go off to the races the other way, and Sema just burst in, and he had that far corner picked all alone and just right over the right shoulder of Ben Hrebeck, and what a goal by Sema. What a finish.
Well, the former Saginaw Spirit brings that championship experience, winning Memorial Cup with the Spirit 2 seasons ago. That big addition, and he ties this game at 3. 16 goals on the season. With 1:56 remaining in the second period.
Just gotta love hockey. I mean, it's almost 4-2 at one end, and a few seconds later, it's all tied up.
67's will dump this into the zone. Hands are there to play it. He takes the hit. Von Richter trying to get a stick on it. Hanser takes a swing at that puck. Spitznagel along the boards. Sends it behind the net. Kubin, he's tied up by Von Richter, trying to move it along the boards. Kubin has it in his skates. Colts move it forward. Gardner up the wing. Picked up here by Ben Wilmot. Wilmot's going to go for a skate. Dumps this one in. Ends up behind the Ottawa net. Salandra had his stick tied up. Delivers the hip check there on Bedkowski. 67's, though, will get it out to center ice. That's taken away. Wilmot through the neutral zone. Dumps this one in. He's bumped. That was Bedkowski throwing the weight around. Schkock again behind his own net. Plays this one around. Takes a weird bounce in the corner. Hits the stanchion. 67's trying to regroup. We're now in the final minute of the second period. Tied at 3. Spitznagel will send that one back. Vandenberg gets this one down the ice. And that's going to be an icing call now against Ottawa. With 47 and a half seconds left to go in the period.
It's crazy. I mean, both these teams, they have the firepower, and what an opportunity for Hemming off the side of the net after a great move on Fedorov. Yeah, the Fedorov beat, but just couldn't get the proper placement on that backhand. And then next thing you know, you're off to the races, and Sema with a great shot over Benarebic's shoulder.
Scrambled draw. Colts trying to pick it up. Bodwin, he's in the middle of it, along with Zabeski. Ishkokigan had it, and it went back to Fedorov. And the 67's will clear it. Emerton dumps this one in. Goes off the end boards. It's behind the net. Bodwin's first one on it. Cole Bodwin around the goal. Sends this one back to the point to Emerton. Emerton down low. Zabeski behind the net. Goes off Hemming. Ishkokigan will pick it up. 20 seconds left in the period. Spitznag has it at the blue line. Trying to get it out. He will. Doesn't go too far. He's surrounded by white sweaters. Zabeski into the zone. Continue to battle. Now it's Ottawa. They're going to flip this one down the ice. Whitehead trying to get after it. It bounces in front of him, but it's knocked away. Colts trying to go back up the ice, but that will do it for the second period. What an entertaining 20 minutes that was, as these teams just go back and forth, and it's tied at 3 after 40 minutes.
What a battle this one has turned into. I mean, we just, we expected it. I mean, no surprise, but all of a sudden now you go third period, and which is going to be the team that steps up? Difference. I mean, Barrie. I mean, it's just been, it's been that close. I mean, just tooth and nail out there. It's been a real physical battle. I think we expected that, but just some big time hits, some big time battles along the walls. But all of a sudden it comes down to 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, it has been a grind here, and just chance after chance at both ends of the ice. And I think that last goal there from Nick Sema kind of sums it up, just the way this game has been. Barrie getting an outstanding chance at one end. It looked like Hemming just was able to undress Fedorov, but hits the side of the nets, and then Ottawa gets a 2-on-1, and Nick Sema, just that veteran presence, he's able to pick off that corner.
So again, I mean, both these teams, really good teams with the transition, and again, I mean, Sema's just been so big. Another big goal for Ottawa, and just what a shot too as well. He's able to kind of gain the extra step on the Barrie defender to go in there alone, but he rifled that thing right over the shoulder of Rebic. I don't think Rebic had any chance in that one.
Yeah, so it's been a very entertaining hockey game so far. It's tied at 3 here at the second intermission. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to tune in with Terry Doyle and the OHL news. But when we return, we will open up the chat to have our conversations and also take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Hello everyone, I'm Terry Doyle. Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of OHL News. Coming up on the show, we'll check in with what's happening with the Windsor Spitfires. But first, this week's Cogeco OHL Player of the Week is Barrie Colts forward Ben Wilmot. He had 5 goals, 2 assists, and a shootout game winner in 3 Barrie victories last week. The 19-year-old who hails from New Jersey joined the Colts at the OHL trade deadline from the London Knights. He came into this week's play with 55 points over 51 games this season and an impressive plus 26 ranking. Meantime, the Windsor Spitfires are right in the thick of things in the OHL Western Conference, battling with Kitchener and Flint for the top spot in the conference, and of course with the Flint Firebirds for first place in the West Division. Steve Bell, the longtime voice of the Windsor Spitfires, joins us to catch up on what's happening in Windsor.
I think overall the season's gone pretty much as expected. I think at the start of the season, there was still everybody, including me, with my fingers crossed, hoping for some magic that Ilya Protas somehow, who played 1 year here and obviously, unfortunately, was drafted before coming to the OHL, that somehow Ilya may find his way back to the Spits. That ship sailed a while ago. He's not only succeeding in the AHL, he's likely a whole lot closer to playing for the Washington Capitals than ever for the Spits. So, and I think, I'm not sure if General Manager Bill Bowler had much hope, but there was certainly, at least a little glimmer of hope that if Ilya Protas had to come back, then this would have really been close to a championship team. But they've managed to, for the most part, they got off to a real good start. There's a few hiccups like every team has along the way. But overall, sitting right near the top of the standings here in the Western Conference, I think a pretty good start. And so far, with about a month to go, as you say, things still look pretty good here.
I know players don't like to look back, but I've got to think you probably hear from them that it's still a group pretty hungry after and annoyed after what happened last year with Kitchener coming back after the Spitfires were up 3-0 in that series. And I've got to think if they need any motivation to get back to that point, it's probably one of those things that left a bad taste in their mouth from last spring.
Yeah, I agree, and no excuses. I mean, every team goes through it, but the Spits were banged up in a big way. I'm not sure if it was Game 7 of that series that the Spits lost here in overtime, but down the stretch and into that series, they were missing as many as 7 and 8 regulars out of the lineup, and you can try to go with depth all you want and patch it up, but when you're asking a guy maybe in the fourth line to be in the second line and be in the power play, sometimes it's just a little bit too much. And hey, give the Rangers credit. They found a way to come back and win the series. I don't know if it would have mattered much. It looked like nobody was ever going to touch London. A game or so along the way, that would have been about it. But still, it would have been nice to win that series the way it happened. So the guys that are back, the Liam Greentrees, Anthony Cristoforos, a good chunk of them, I'm sure. And there's a pretty good possibility. I mean, it's a ways away yet that it may wind up being a Windsor-Kitchener series somewhere, whether it's round 2, possibly round 3, before all is said and done in early April.
Does it feel like this is a group that's really grown together? Because you think of that club that finished at the bottom of the standings a couple of years ago, but it just feels, you look at the roster and it feels like so many guys came from that and really have grown together over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think you have to give a lot of the credit to Greg Walters. Wally came in and, I'd known Greg a little bit from the league, but I mean, he's a pretty intimidating guy. I mean, he's big. We know he played. He's a tough guy. But underneath all of that, he's kind of a teddy bear too. I mean, he loves the game. He loves teaching the game, motivating the kids. And as they say nowadays, you play the game the right way, you won't have a problem. You cheat the game, take shortcuts, then you may have a problem with Greg Walters. But I think a lot of the credit to the turnaround, Bill Bowler, certainly the general manager, but behind the bench too, Greg Walters and the assistants too, Chris Newbury, the former Sting player, and Casey Torres have really fit in nicely. So I think it kind of starts really at the very top.
Obviously, a lot of tension on the guys like a Greentree, AJ Spellacy, Jack Nesbitt, guys that were chosen pretty high in the NHL draft as well. But take me through the guys on the blue line who maybe don't get as much of attention. You mentioned Cristoforo, Carson Woodall would be another one that would come to mind to me that maybe, the average fan in the OHL maybe hasn't seen that name. We saw Woodall was at the top of the league scoring after a few weeks in the season. I've got to think those are guys that maybe don't get as much attention, but have been big parts of the Spitfires team this year.
No, absolutely. And I think the entire blue line, for a good chunk of the season, they've run 11 forwards and, one under the normal 12, 4 sets of 3. But they played a lot of the year with 7 defensemen here because they just don't like sitting any one of them. And a lot of them are not, as you say, household names. Carson Woodall, a local kid from just outside of Windsor, 10th round draft pick, I believe. And he is very good out of his own end. He can be a one-man breakout at times. Guys like Andrew Robinson, too, that is, he played a couple of games in the playoffs last year, has come in. These guys are not guys like Andrew Robinson, Jonathan Brown, another one. They're not going to bring you out of your seat like a Cal McCarr or something, but they're effective back there. They're not going to knock you through the boards. They're not overly physical, but they're able to get the job done kind of quietly. And then at times they'll play, especially shorthanded. I call them the Twin Towers, 6'5" Wyatt Kennedy and 6'5" Connor Walton together, and that's a pretty good shutdown pair. They're long, they got long sticks, long reach, and pretty effective too from a defensive standpoint. But and recently we mentioned Anthony Cristoforo, Terry. He's actually found a pretty good spot up in the second line as a right winger with Jack Nesbitt and Ethan Belchez. And at times they've gone with the 6D and moved Anthony Cristoforo up to a forward spot.
Take me through the growth of Ethan Belchez over the last 2 seasons.
He's a real good kid. Number one, he's a real smart kid, and some NHL team that does draft him, I'm not exactly sure. They have him 9, 10, somewhere in the mix there. They're going to get a real good player and a real good person too. You can skate all you want, do all you want, but you just can't go and teach 6'5", 230, a kid that can play Not overly physical at all, but not afraid.
Before we let you go, some moves at the deadline, adding to the roster. Nathan Villeneuve comes over and Alex Ferran from Sudbury. Jakob Fibiger comes over from the Steelheads. Three guys that obviously Bill Buller wanted to add to the lineup to really boost that Spitfires hockey club.
The guys that have come in, Jakob Fibiger, again, a guy that eats up a lot of minutes on the back end, not overly physical, but effective defenseman. Nathan Villeneuve's a compete guy, and as Coach Walters would say, a hockey player. Like, you could say we're going to have practice at 5 a.m, he'd be here.
That was Steve Bell, the radio voice of the Windsor Spitfires. Here's a look at this week's CHL Top 10 rankings presented by Delta Hotels by Marriott. The Brantford Bulldogs, the number 1 team from the OHL in the rankings, coming in at number 5 this week. The Ottawa 67's 6, the Barrie Colts 7, and the Kitchener Rangers number 10. That's going to do it for our show this week. You've been listening to OHL News. I'm Terry Doyle. Thanks for joining us.
So it's the second intermission between the Barrie Colts and the Ottawa 67's, a 3-3 hockey game. And we had Gene Pereira doing the first 2 periods, and he decided, you know what, Josh, you can have the third period, and whatever happens after. He wouldn't say, that word, because we've been in trouble so many times before not to say that particular word by the people of our chat. But that's the fun of doing these broadcasts here on YouTube.
Yeah, Tammy's given us some trouble over the weeks about the words we use, and so it was weird when he said to me, he's like, if there's a third period, you can do it. It's like,
what do you mean if there's a third period?
What do you mean if there's a third? what are you not telling me?
What do you know?
What do you have planned, Gene?
Well, things are a little different when we come up to Ottawa. I've got my family up here. We did the skating on the Rideau Canal, and I forgot to bring my dress shoes, so I'm doing it in my sock feet doing the broadcast. You know what?
Pretty fancy.
This is kind of nice. Might have to do this from now on.
If you ever meet Mike Poirier, you should ask what socks he has on that day, because he usually brings out some fancy socks. The Trash Pandas were out a couple of weeks ago. Yep. The poutine socks as well.
And now I've got my my hockey socks.
Your hockey socks.
It's a good day. But we need to get this show back on track. And at this point, we usually do the out-of-town scoreboard. So it's a busy day around the Ontario Hockey League. So let's take a look at those scores.
Yeah, everyone playing, including all 4 other Central Division teams playing each other. It's North Bay Battalion up 5-3. They win that game over the Brampton Steelheads. London and Owen Sound has gone final 6-2 win for the Knights to officially clinch a playoff spot. Brantford gets a goal in the third period. Caleb Malhotra with the game winner there. They beat Kingston by a score of 3-2, 5-0 for Flint over Oshawa. That's a stinky game for the Generals. Kitchener and Peterborough, they went to overtime, and they're heading to a shootout now. That game tied at 2. Sarnia and the Sioux going to a shootout. That game's tied at 5. Sudbury wins over Niagara, a big win there by a score of 6-2. Windsor 7-1 over Saginaw. That game is final. Guelph just wrapping up with Erie. They win that game 5-1. So a lot of blowouts in the OHL today.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable seeing how that all goes, because obviously for Windsor and Saginaw's kind of had Windsor's number this season, but now back-to-back games where Windsor, I think, has basically said, we've had enough, and we're going to take these 4 points. And boy, oh boy, did they do it in commanding fashion there at out the WFCU Center this afternoon. But we do have the chat up and running before we get to the third period of play. And Liam mentioning that the Canadian women's team doing well against the Swiss. They're shutting them down quite a bit now. And also saying that Jean is on the ice melting it. So there's no third period.
Oh,
so maybe
no.
that's what Jean's plan was.
Well, let's go home then.
Nothing else to see here.
Nothing else to see.
And then we've got Richard. Colts will come out much strong in the third. They always seem to. And that's just it. I was going to mention this is just how the Barrie Colts this season, especially over these last few months, once we get to that third period, it's that flip of the switch and things just can just go from there. And we saw that Thursday against the Kingston Frontenacs. They had that lead, but they really took over that hockey game, scoring 3 goals early in that third period against the Frontenacs.
Yeah, it's perfect that Richard brings this up because I do actually have stats for this from Thursday night. I did a segment on the Colts' third period since the trade deadline. So coming into Thursday's game, they had played 14 games since the trade deadline. In the third period, they averaged 1.78 goals per game, 0.92 goals against per game, 11.07 shots per game, and then 10.70 shots against. And then in the third period the other night, outshooting Kingston 14-12, and then outscoring them 4-1. So they added to that goals for total per game by a lot. It's probably up at 2 now. And yeah, they've been just really feels like they come out in the third period and seem to always really dominate. It's like a flip of the switch. They came out in the third on Thursday night, slow start in the first. They start getting it going later in that period, carry it over into the second. Kingston still keeping it close. It's a tie game going to the third. Gabriel Eliason gets that 1 goal, and it kind of just felt like it was over from there because the Colts just started flying and ended up winning that game by a big score of 6-3.
And we saw that in North Bay where they were able to get that like that third period going. They were rolling, but the North Bay Battalion, they found a way to stay in that hockey game. It wasn't until an empty net goal from Cole Baudouin, which ultimately sealed the deal for the Barrie Colts. But for Dylan Smoskowitz, I'm sure he's having words with the players down in the dressing room, reminding them of that game against North Bay where don't give up the turnovers, keep playing the Barrie Colt way. But we've seen a lot of turnovers in the first 2 periods of this one against the Ottawa 67. So could this be a game mirroring what we saw last Sunday in North Bay?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, both these teams more known for their defense and goaltending, but the shots right now 19-17. The score's 3-3, which is a bit of a surprise with Horebic and Fedorov in net. But you mentioned that game against North Bay. Obviously, Dylan Smoskowitz not happy about it. It's pretty easy to look at that period and say, well, we scored 4 goals, so we should be happy with it. But obviously, Dylan Smoskowitz on his team, making sure, we don't want to play that way. We were up by 2 goals in that period. Doesn't mean we go out, try and score 4 more at the cost of allowing 2 or 3 goals ourselves. And, for Barrie, it kind of felt like the third period the other night was a big prove-it test to say, hey, we can shut down games in the third period again. And they come out and they get a couple early goals, and then they just continue to stay on the attack and kind of shut Kingston down when they tried to come back the other way.
So we'll see how this third period goes, because oftentimes they usually win the faceoff and just pour it on, get chance after chance. So we'll see if it mirrors that same strategy. But another thing I've noticed a bit is how the top line's kind of been interchanging quite a bit, even in this hockey game, where you've got Baudouin and Hemming, as your top line there, but it's been intermixed between Zabeski at times pairing up with them, or you get Ben Wilmot. So it's a different look depending on who you go with, but it's very interchangeable, and it's been working.
Yeah, it feels like they're put out there for different needs. I think Zabeski's more the guy when they're trying to shut down the opponents, and when Dylan Smoskowitz feels, okay, it's time to go and try and get a goal, he's going to turn to Ben Wilmot up on that top line. But he also, at the same time, that top line of Wilmot, Baudouin, and Hemming so dominant, but then he moves Wilmot down to the second line, and he thinks he adds more to that line as well. So then it's kind of tough because you kind of want to just duplicate Ben Wilmot and put him on the 2 top lines there, but obviously you can't. And Dylan Smoskowitz doing a good job mixing it up. It's going to be interesting to see here in the third period. Of course, the Colts haven't played since Thursday. They won't play till Thursday again here in the next week. And so an opportunity here for guys like Baudouin, guys like Aitchison, guys like Hemming, Wilmot as well to get some big minutes here in the third period.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, because when you look at next weekend, it's a very tough 3-3. And you mentioned it starts Thursday at home against Owen Sound. They're in London Friday. The Knights are no pushovers in their home barn. But then it's the rematch against the Brantford Bulldogs. So for tonight, for this game against Ottawa, you want to put it all on the line, but it's not a long gap between Monday and Thursday when you do start that 3-3.
Yeah, it's weird with the family day having a game on a Monday. It's okay. Now there's 2 days without games, then it's right back to work for 3 more games. And we've talked about it the last weekend in that 3-3 for Barrie against Brampton and North Bay. It was kind of a pretty easy 3-3 when it came to the schedule because Barrie was able to, they travel an hour down to Brampton to take on the Steelheads, and then the next 2 days are against the North Bay team that you're playing twice. So the travel up to North Bay didn't really affect them too much, considering North Bay had to travel to Barrie and back the day before. But now coming up on this one, like you mentioned, you get a home game Thursday, and then it's 2.5 hours down to London and back before that big matchup with Brantford.
So the third period underway. Face-off won by Ottawa. Puck's knocked down at center by Aitchison. Trying to send it in the Ottawa zone. The second time works. Fedorov's going to play it behind his own net. Leaves it there for Morelli. Frankie Morelli spins and trying to keep it away from Baudouin. Goes over to his defense partner as it's going to go down ice. And that's an offside call, but they're going to bring this one all the way back into the Ottawa zone.
Yeah, the stretch pass there attempted by the 67's. And obviously, when you do that and it's offside, you got to come all the way back. And mentioned about Barrie and the being off since Monday, being an interesting third for them here. But you look at on the 67th side, coming off 2 tough losses to Kitchener and your division rival in Peterborough. They're desperate for a win right now, trying to stay even with Brantford on points this weekend. And well, of course, you don't want Barrie getting more points on you down the stretch.
Frankie Morelli going to get a new twig as it snapped when he was battling with Emil Hemming off the face-off dot. So Morelli just taking his time. We got the face-off to the right of Fedorov. Sema is going to take the draw against Cole Baudouin. Face-off won by the Colts. Hemming drops it back to Passmore. Passmore shot blocked. That goes into the equipment of Kuda. 67's get it out. Bows sends this one deep. Around the boards it goes. But that's going to be an icing call against Ottawa. So they're going to bring this one back. And surprisingly, a bit of a cautious start, so to speak, here to this third period.
Yeah, it's been a slowish start. Of course, 67's did try and get something working on that stretch pass there, but the icing, the offside, and maybe trying to just kill some clock down here with the very top guys out on the ice.
So Baudouin taking the draw there against Sema, sends this one back to Aitchison. Aitchison takes it down low around the net in front, but can't connect. But now Kuda's going to skate this one up for Ottawa. Jasper Kuda flips this one into the zone. Horevic gets underneath it and will hold on for the faceoff as Jasper Kuda just wanting to get a faceoff down in the Barrie Colts zone.
It's been an interesting game so far. You look at the physicality side of things and the scrums out in front and behind the net. It kind of feels like most of that has come when the top lines are out there. Cooper Foster's line matching up against Cole Baudouin, Emil Hemming, and Mason Sapeski, and that's where most of the physicality in this game's really felt to have come from.
So face off to the right of Horevic. Cooper Foster is going to be tossed out. It's in steps Nick Whitehead to take the draw against Brad Gardner. Gardner's done extremely well in the face-off dot here this afternoon. He'll win this one cleanly back to the corner. Von Richter to Hanser. That one went off the skate of Justin Hanser. Now it's Joe Salandra with possession. He'll just flip this one ahead. After it is Wilmot. That's knocked off the tape by Ishkok again. Wilmot around the Ottawa net. Hits the brakes in the corner. Tied up there by Foster. Sends us back to Gardner. Gardner. That pass was blocked. Foster to Ishkok again. That's sent back behind the Ottawa net. There to play it is Rummel. Rummel picked off by Von Richter. Takes the shot. Misses that far post. And that's going to sail all the way back into the Barrie zone. Justin Hanser back to pick it up. Hanser gives that one to Salandra. Up ahead to Von Richter. Gardner enters the attacking zone. Gardner back to Wilmot. That goes off his skate. Ends up in the corner. Salandra after it. Morelli, he'll find it first. Up ahead to Ekberg. Ekberg skates this one up for Ottawa. Reaches center. Lost the handle of it. Sends it on goal. Horevic guides us the corner. Schneid. That's out of his reach. He'll catch up to it, but getting a stick on it there was Hope Hubin. Eliasson from his own blue line. Goes back to Emerton. Up the wing. Lowe gets a stick on it, so no icing. That goes beside the net. Morelli sends this one ahead. Spitznagel can't get a stick on it. Icing indicated, and we'll get the whistle. And they're going to bring this one back. As we've now played a minute 59 into this third period.
Well, Teddy Spitznagel, one of those guys that came over from the NCAA at the trade deadline, ended up making the move over. Ottawa had his rights, so they bring him in. It's been a slow start for him as of right now, and 1 point on the year, 18 penalty minutes after taking a penalty earlier in this game, 15 games so far with the 67's.
Some pushing and shoving here before the faceoff. Luke Govro mixing it up there with Morelli. Face-off to the right of Fedorov, won by the Colts. Aitchison sends that one to the near side. McCormick after it. Spitznagel passes that one ahead to Chitteroni. Chitteroni, he's stopped, and then Govro knocking down his man. That was Teddy Spitznagel. Colts with it in their own zone. Kayshawn Aitchison. Back to Emerton. Emerton's pass deflected, ends up in the neutral zone. Newton sends this one into the Ottawa end. Went off Morelli. Frankie Morelli across to Bedkowski. Bedkowski sends this one in. Vandenberg puts it behind the net. Hubin comes up with it now for Ottawa. Hubin along the boards. Loses it to Emerton. Emerton's just going to send this one down the ice. And that's going to be an icing call now against the Barrie Colts. As this has been a much different period than what we saw in the opening 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's been very slow so far. Not a lot of chances on either side. Neither team wanting to give up that next goal. And obviously both sides very defensively minded. Dylan Smoskowitz, big fan of most defense first, turn that into offense. And of course, Dave Cameron, this Ottawa 67's team, you look at the stats, you don't think of them as this high scoring team. So both teams trying to get back to that defensive side here in the third.
Emerton clears it down the ice. Ottawa with it in their own zone is Kona Shkok again. They'll dump this one in. Around the boards it goes. Ends up behind the Barrie net. Von Richter there to play it for the Colts. Gets the line, not out. Kept in there. Puck goes deep. Von Richter gets it again for the Colts. Von Richter up ahead. Hemming got a stick on it. Shkok was there. Knocked out to center. Ottawa with possession. Buick loses the handle of it. Here's Cole Bodwin on the forecheck. Bodwin takes him into the board. Zabeski overskates it. Vandenberg comes up with it now for Ottawa. Vandenberg already a goal this afternoon. Goes to a Shkok again. He's going to dump it in. Revick behind the net. Playing it there to Kayshawn Aitchison in the corner. Over to Passmore. Passmore flips this one ahead. Taken away there by the 67's. That was Spencer Bowes. Loose puck. Colts get to the line and out. Hemming at his own blue line will peel back. He's got Sema on his back. Sends this one forward. Can't get it out of the zone. Puck goes deep. After it here is Kuda. Kuda passing it back. Up the middle. Ends up in the corner. Back to the blue line. Bedkowski. Toe drag, but that puck got away, and Aitchison will send it forward. Hemming passes this one up. Goes off the stick of Aitchison. Ottawa will send this one back. Passmore got a stick on it. Schneid gets it here at center ice. William Schneid sends this one deep. Gets around Bedkowski. Ends up in the corner. Bedkowski gets a stick on it. Schneid can't hold on to it. Puck moved ahead there by Rummel. There's a high stick. That's going to be a penalty as Calvin Crombie got hit up high by Cooper Foster. And there is blood on the ice. This is going to be a 4-minute double minor. And Crombie, he is very slow to get up. He's right now on his knee. And he is leaking.
Yeah, you can see the blood coming out there. It's pretty easy to call this one a 4 as trainer gets out there, gets the towel on top of him, and probably need the shovels maybe to come out here and clean up the ice a bit.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a delay. We'll have to wait and see. Does Crombie head off?
Here they come.
Here comes the arena crew.
Well, when we were in Sudbury and there was blood on the ice, the officials just went, no, we'll wait till the next TV timeout.
Wait until the timeout.
It's fine.
So they're going to clean up the evidence. Crombie is going to go to the bench. So that's a good sign. He's going to get his maintenance done at the bench. As everyone now patting him on the back.
Well, big opportunity here, though. We were talking about slow starts of this period. All of a sudden, Foster, undisciplined with his stick there, takes the 4-minute penalty. That's going to give the Colts a huge opportunity here to get 1, maybe even 2 goals on the power play.
And this Barrie Colts power play brought to you by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. The Barrie Colts already 1-for-1 on the man advantage this afternoon. So a chance to get back in front with this 4-minute double minor against Cooper Foster. And the arena staff still out there getting all the blood scraped off. So it'll be a couple minutes here until we get play back underway. But for what's been a very quiet third period, a chance here for the Barrie Colts to maybe flip that switch that we were talking about during the second intermission.
Yeah, big opportunity to really put on the pressure here on Ottawa. And of course, this unit for the Barrie Colts, their top unit, doesn't have a goal yet. It was the Brad Gardner, Crombie, Zabeski unit that got that opening goal off a nice pass by Joe Salandra to Gardner, and now a chance for the top unit to score.
Colts win the face-off. Here's Emil Hemming at the half boards, down low. Wilmot, fans on it. Back to Hemming. At the point, Emerton. Back to Hemming. Hemming from face-off dot. In front. That goes off a skate, and the 67's will clear it. That goes off the end boards. Harevic will play it here for the Colts. Leaves it for Cole Emerton. Emerton comes up with it for the Colts. Reaches the blue line, drops it back. Hemming. He'll skate this one ahead through center. Hemming passes this one up, but that was Bowsy got in the way. Puck rolls to the corner. Kayshawn Aitchison after it. In front. Wilmot takes a shot. Side of the net. Hemming. Wilmot batting at it. And we're getting a whistle as the net comes off. Cole Baudouin, he was diving for it, trying to get a stick on it as that puck was just bouncing around.
Yeah, nice look there for the Colts. Hemming with the initial chance and then off the rebound, able to center it there for Baudouin on that one-timer. Nice play here as the puck goes down the corner. Aitchison knocks it free to Baudouin. Wilmot gets the first shot, and then Hemming fakes the shot, passes it out front to Baudouin. Talked to Cole Emerton the other night on Rogers TV about that top power play. I mean, all five of those guys can really shoot the puck. We don't see Cole Emerton do it all too much. He even mentioned that in the interview, saying, I try and just defect and pass the puck, but for a guy like Emerton, I mean, the shots we've seen him pull off on the power play, if he can shoot some more, he'll get a few more goals.
And he has a great shot, as what was seen Thursday against Kingston. Ottawa, though, win the face-off. They'll clear it down the ice right on net. Harevic had to make the save. Von Richter back to pick it up for the Colts. Ahead for Gardner. He'll peel back. Sends this one across. Salandra dropping it back to Crombie. So good news there for Colt fans that Crombie, after taking that high stick, is back on the ice. Crombie picking up momentum through the neutral zone. Crombie trying to get around Vedkowski, hits the brakes, sends us back to Von Richter. That one off target. Von Richter's shot stopped by Fedorov. Puck goes to the corner. Zabeski digs this one free for the Colts, sends it to the point. That's picked off by Vandenberg. Vandenberg puts this one ahead to Sema. Sema loses it to Von Richter. Parker Von Richter behind his own net. 2:32 remaining in this power play for Barrie. Here's a breakaway for Brad Gardner. Gardner on net, backhand forehand, scores! What a goal! Brad Gardner against his former team outplays Fedorov. And it's now 4-3.
What a play by Brad Gardner, his second of the afternoon. Now we're going to get a discussion as well. Not only do the Colts get to keep the power play, but Gardner was tripped up there, so there was a penalty coming to the Ottawa 67's. Now, of course, if it was going to be a penalty shot, it could get negated, but for the Colts, a huge goal there. They'll still have 2 minutes to work with 5-on-4, potentially even 5-on-3 here.
Oh, what a play by Brad Gardner. That goal was outstanding. As Brad Gardner now 25 goals on the season, and it looks like they're trying to get Vedkowski to go across to the penalty box. As the referee, Tyson Stewart, having words with Dave Cameron, he does not look impressed. As Vedkowski now being escorted across, it's going to be a 5-on-3 for the full 2 minutes, as you mentioned.
A huge opportunity here. We already talked about just the fact of the 4-minute power play, but now you get an extra opportunity as well. And Vedkowski's still not happy. Yet to see a replay come up again. Vedkowski's still talking to the official. He hasn't accepted his... Oh, now he's in there.
Yeah, now he's in the...
I was looking at the TV screen, which is a bit behind. I was trying to see if there was a replay, and he was still out there. I turn around, he's in the box.
So this latest power play brought to you by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. It's now a 5-on-3 situation. Barrie right now a perfect 2 for 2 on the power play this afternoon as Hemming skates it in. Hemming will set things up in the high slot. Takes his time. Down low. Gardner back to Hemming. Aitchison doesn't take the shot. Goes back to Hemming. Aitchison again. Down low to Beaudoin, side of the net. Cole Beaudoin takes his time, looks at his options, goes back to Kayshawn Aitchison. Aitchison moves towards the high slot. What a shot, Kayshawn Aitchison, as he finds the top shelf. And the Barrie Colts, they're now up by 2.
What a shot there from Kayshawn Aitchison. Getting closer and closer to that all-time record. Most points all-time by a Barrie Colts defenseman. Getting it right away, only 31 seconds into the 5-on-3. And again, Barrie now up by 2. Still have a minute 29 to work with here to try and get another goal and make it a 3-goal game here.
So for Kayshawn Aitchison, makes it a 5-3 hockey game. But what a release. That's now 23 goals on the season. 13 of those are power play markers. Here's Aitchison again to the net. Was trying to set up Beaudoin, but that goes wide. It's still a power play for the Barrie Colts for another minute 10. As Aitchison comes back, he's hauled down. Colts want a penalty, none coming. Emerton takes it around his own net. He's going to skate this one up. Emerton reaches the blue line, drops it back to Hemming. Emil Hemming to Beaudoin. Beaudoin momentum into the attacking zone. Goes around Buick. Beaudoin behind the Ottawa net. Stays with it. Beaudoin to the line. Emerton. Back to Aitchison. One-timer. Didn't get all of that one. Puck goes to the corner. Aitchison sending this one back to Wilmot. He's tied up along the boards. Wilmot gets a stick on it. Power play down 37 seconds. Buick trying to play it. Aitchison got a stick on it. Beaudoin back to Emerton. Quickly clash. One-timer scores! Emil Hemming! The power play strikes for a 4th time this afternoon. And just like that, it's now a 6-3 hockey game.
Oh, what a turn of events here in the last 3 minutes of this one. I mean, 3 power play goals. The Colts now 4 for 4 on the power play. It's a 6-3 game. Everyone seeming to have forgotten about Emil Hemming. All 67 players in the corner against 3 Barrie Colts. And that left Emil Hemming wide open for a one-timer to make it 6-3.
Power play has been lethal here this afternoon. And Emil Hemming, he has 2 goals. It's now 21 on the season. We still have 12-16 left to go in the 3rd period. Puck's deep in the Barrie zone. Eliasson will send it around to Luke Govro. Govro, he's taking it to the boards, trying to play it. Colts send it to the line, takes a bounce off the boards, ends up at center, collected by Jaden Newton. Newton's going to dump this one in. Puck comes to the near corner. McCormick on the forecheck. He's trying to take it away from Rummel. Spitznagel sends it across to Chitteroni. Chitteroni. That one gets away from him, ends up back behind the Barrie net. Newton sends this one around to McCormick. McCormick stopped there by Rummel. Puck goes to the corner. McCormick gets it again, leans into his man. And as the battles just continue, as Zach Hubin was trying to get to McCormick. Colts move this one out to center ice. Govro is just putting this one on net. Fedorov guides it to the corner. Govro gets to it as Ashkokogan lost his balance. Puck sent in front, but that misses. At the point, Von Richter. He'll send this one to an open corner. Crombie chases after it. Calvin Crombie still with it. Trying to keep it away from Krawchuk, but it's taken away by Vandenberg. He'll send it down ice. Won't be enough for icing as Von Richter comes back to play it. Parker Von Richter gives that one to Newton. Eliasson, backhand pass to Carter Lowe. Lowe skates this one in for the Colts. That shot's blocked. Bedkowski gets this one in the corner. That pass going off a skate ends up deep in the Ottawa end once again. McHugh, he's bumped off the puck. Buick sends this one over to Bedkowski. Bedkowski across. McHugh got a stick on it, so no icing. Puck goes deep. Von Richter sending this one around. That's going to go down the length of the ice. And that'll be icing now against the Barrie Colts. But this game just suddenly changed. Like, the start of the 3rd period was so quiet, very cautious. But then penalties have kind of sunk the Ottawa 67s here in this third period.
Yeah, 2 bad penalties there. I mean, you look at it in the second period, it went the Colts' way where they take back-to-back penalties there, puck over the glass, to check from behind from Crombie, and all of a sudden it's a 5-on-3. Ottawa's able to tie the game, and then to an even higher extent here with Ottawa, you take a 4-minute penalty, then you take another penalty on top of that on the first goal. So then you're 5-on-3, down by 1, and you give up both there. Good job by the Barrie Colts. Obviously, Aitchison with that shot, getting it so early in the 5-on-3, gave the Colts a minute 29 to work with to get another goal, and they do the job. And then since then, we've kind of gone back to that slow pace.
And for the Ottawa 67s, a team that has only lost 3 in a row once this season, on the verge of a second 3-game losing streak. You have to assume we'll see some desperate hockey here with 10:37 left to go in the game. Face off to the right of Ben Horevic. Cooper Foster's tossed out of the draw. Actually, no, he's going to be invited back. So Foster against Schneid. Cooper Foster to Whitehead, and that shot goes over the net. Far side of Shkokigan comes off the blue line, keeps it down low to Foster, and that got by him. Eckberg into the corner, takes the hit there from Von Richter. Colts get it to the line, not out. Kept in by Morelli. Sends this one over to Shkokigan. That pass deflected, but Morelli able to recover. Crombie reaching for it. His man goes down. Play continues. 67's back at the point. Shkokigan. He'll send this one around. Whitehead reaching for it. That got by him. Schneid, he takes a hard hit. Morelli sends this one around. Eckberg. Back to Whitehead. Morelli again over to Shkokigan. Shkokigan waits. He's tripped up by Lowe, and that's going to be a penalty. So now Ottawa, they're going to go on the power play here with 9:51 remaining.
Now Lowe getting the stick in there, and that's going to give the 67s a bit of life here. Needing 3 goals in the final 9:51 as Shkokigan steps up, and now Lowe takes him down. That's a pretty easy call for the officials, and 67s with a big chance here to get things back going.
So Ottawa 1 for 3 on the power play this afternoon. So a big chance for the 67s to try and get back into this hockey game. Right now down by 3 after giving up 3 power play goals here in this third period alone. So Vandenberg's going to take the draw up against Brad Gardner. Face-off won by the Colts. Kayshawn Aitchison back after it, sends this one around. After it there, that's Kuda. Kuda gets it off the boards. Passing this one down low. Ottawa trying to move it around. Vandenberg back to the point. Shkokigan over to Whitehead. Takes the shot. That hits a player at the side of the net. May have gone off Passmore. At the point of Shkokigan. Up ahead to Foster. Back to Whitehead. Nick Whitehead moves it up the boards. Back to the blue line. That's a Shkokigan. One-timer. And that's blocked by Passmore. It goes in the air. Ends up in the corner. Zaveski trying to get a stick on it. Here's Whitehead. Takes the shot, and again blocked. This time by Kayshawn Aitchison, as the Barrie Colts right now doing a great job just getting into those shooting lanes.
Yeah, they've shut down the 67s here on all their shooting opportunities here on the power play. Evan Passmore's had a great game in his own zone here today. Getting in front of pucks. There's a 2-on-1 for Ottawa there in the second period that he single-handedly shut down himself. Switching between the two players, he was able to get a stick on the puck and knock it away.
1:20 remaining on the power play here for Ottawa. Here's Eckberg. Takes to the corner, back to the line. Rummel rides the line across. Morelli stopped by Horevic. Morelli gets it again. He'll pass this one down low. 67's trying to move this one around. At the point, Rummel over to Eckberg. Eckberg passes it, blocked by Hemming. Von Richter trying to get it out, kept in. Puck goes to the corner. 67's moving around. Here's Morelli again from the half boards. Passes this one back to Rummel. Near side, Eckberg. Eckberg takes the shot, stopped by Horevic. Puck's loose, and the Colts pounce on it and get this one down the length of the ice. Power play for Ottawa now down to 42 seconds as Andre Rummel plays this one up. Reaches the blue line. Over to Morelli. Morelli enters the zone. He'll dump this one in. Passmore behind the net. Overskates it. 67's will pick it up. Here's Eckberg. Back to the blue line. Rummel. One-timer. Morelli shot scores! The 67's, they still have life as it's now 6-4.
Well, a big shot there from Frankie Morelli, one of the 67's veterans here, making it a 2-goal game. The big power play goal there took almost a minute 40, but they get it done. Is taking another look. 67's doing a good job just working that puck around, and Morelli gets open there for the one-timer. Nice pass from the point. Ottawa's back within 2.
So what a shot there from Frankie Morelli. That's now 7 goals on the season. So that lead for the Barrie Colts now down to just 2 goals, 8:15 remaining in the hockey game. Face-off won by the Colts. Hanser, they'll pick this one up. Sends this one up the ice. And that's now an icing call against Barrie. So they're going to bring this one back. And you kind of think back to that game up in North Bay where the Colts looked like they had a comfortable lead, but they let the battalion get back into that one. So this is a team you can't take lightly, this Ottawa 67's group.
Yeah, Ottawa, one of the best teams in the league. And when they need to score, they can score. I mean, they've put up 11 goals on the Brantford Bulldogs over their last 2 games against them. So if you give them room to work and think this game is over, they're going to prove you wrong and get back in the game.
Face-off won by the Colts. Hanser takes it around the net. Justin Hanser will pass this one up. That pass not able to connect. So another icing call against the Colts. This line has to stay out there with 7:57 left.
Not Joe Salandra getting into it with Shkokinen, as Salandra always likes to do, roughing the bear there. And Kayshawn Aitchison getting a point there on the goal he scored on the power play. Now 3 points away from tying Brant Clark, 158-155 as of right now between those two.
And that's a record. When Brant Clark said it, I didn't think another defenseman would touch it in years, but here we are with Kayshawn Aitchison.
You figure, it'd take, maybe in 10 years to get another, but it right away, right after Brant Clark leaves, Kayshawn Aitchison has taken over the reins and been really good these last few years.
Wilmot gets it into the Ottawa zone. He's stopped by Ishkaki, and Slandra tried to follow it up. Foster sends it across to Whitehead. Nick Whitehead dropping it back to Foster. Cooper Foster carrying this one in for Ottawa. He's got a lane to the net, trying to go around. Hits the post. Cooper Foster had Ben Horevic beat, but not the iron. As he is denied, now he gets some rough stuff after the whistle, but at this point, I don't know if the referees want to call anything.
Yeah, obviously not wanting to be a factor already. 3 penalties handed out here this third period. Nice save by Horevic, getting that pad over. Obviously, as a goalie, whether it's his fault or not, he'd be pretty frustrated by a 22 of 26 stat line. So wanting to shut Ottawa down the rest of the way and get his team the win.
Some face-off to the left of Horevic. Baudouin here to take the face-off against Sema. That puck bouncing. Colts have it behind their own net. Back to pick it up is Spencer Bowes. Bowes will put it back to the blue line. Down low. Bowes gets it again here for Ottawa. Kuda in front. Deflected side of the net. Sema couldn't get there in time. Puck goes to the corner. Hemmick. He'll send this one forward. Picked up here by Baudouin. Up to Zabeski. Zabeski had his stick tied up. Colts moving into the zone, but Morelli will steal it. Frankie Morelli, his pass is deflected. Bowes sends that one into the zone. Kuma couldn't get to it. Puck kept in. Here's Spencer Bowes. Takes the shot. Scores! Spencer Bowes fired it. There was a screen in front. Kuda was parked there. And now the Ottawa 67's are within 1.
Yeah, good screen by Kuda. He's leading the line back. Looks like he may have gotten a touch on that one. It's 6:50 to go. 1-goal game. Getting pretty interesting here in Ottawa. Taking another look as Von Richter trying to get it out. It hits off Hemming, and the puck stays in the zone, and Bowes just sending it to the net. No one's able to clear Jasper Kuda out of the way, and 67's have fought back and are in this game again.
So if it is Kuda's goal, that's 27 on the season, and that one's huge. Because Ottawa, after being down by 3, have clawed their way back. It's 6-5. Puck's behind the Barrie net. Carter Lowe. He'll skate this one ahead. Taken away by Rummel. Rummel's pass is deflected. Emerton facing pressure there from Kachuk. Emerton gets it out to center. Knocked down by Crombie. Crombie trying to send this one back. Ashkokogan puts it into the Barrie zone. Carter Lowe gets it out. At the blue line, Andre Rummel from his own blue line passes this one ahead. Knocked down by Ashkokogan. Back to Eliason. He'll send this one up the boards off the skate of Crombie. Crombie can't keep that in the offensive end. Eliason. That shot goes off Carter Lowe. Bounces to the near side. Picking up is Schneid. Schneid puts it on goal. Fedorov gets a glove on it. Plays it to Rummel. 5:55 left in the period. There's a pass. It's picked off by Ben Wilmot. Wilmot to the net. Takes the shot. Hits the side of the goal. Wilmot picking it up again here for Barrie. Trying to send it back. Foster has that one knocked off his tape. Back it goes for Buick. Rummel gets it off the end boards. 67's trying to move it up. Cooper Foster through the neutral zone. He'll dump this one in. Ends up back behind the net for Passmore. Evan Passmore passes this one up to Salandra. Salandra puts it off the glass and down the ice. Morelli fanned on it. Gardner putting pressure. Brad Gardner, he's taken to the boards by Morelli. Loose puck picked up by Wilmot. Ben Wilmot can't find it. It's in the skates of Morelli, so he'll dig it free. Sends this one across to Ekberg. Ekberg reaches center. He'll dump this one in off the boards. 67's with it. Foster's shot stopped by Hrebek. Hemming can't get it out of the zone. Gets a second chance. Sets up Zabeski. Mason Zabeski skates this one up for the Colts. Zabeski hits the break. Sends it towards the net. Blocked by Ashkokogan. Zabeski gets it again. Behind the net to Beaudoin. Beaudoin in the corner. Backhand pass to Aitchison. Near side Von Richter takes the shot. Fedorov the save. Ekberg gets to that loose puck. He'll get this one out. And Von Richter has to come back to play it. 4:38 left to go in the hockey game. 6-5 for the Colts. Aitchison dumps this one in. Morelli back to play it. Morelli takes the hit there from Beaudoin. Puck goes to the corner. Hemming collects it. Hemming hits the brakes, trying to keep it away from Ashkokogan. Aitchison to Eliason. Eliason backhand, ends up in the corner. Zabeski, he's knocked down. Beaudoin will send it around. Aitchison comes off the blue line, trying to play it, stuck along the boards. Aitchison to Beaudoin. Beaudoin flips it back to the point for Hemming. Hemming takes the shot. That goes wide. Off the blue line is Eliason. He can't keep that one in. Ottawa gets it out to center. Kuda sends this one deep. Playing it there is Aitchison. As we're now in the final 4 minutes of this third period. What a game it's been this afternoon. It's felt like a playoff game from puck drop. A lot of twists and turns, and we're not done yet. Emerton passes this one ahead. Carter Lowe drops it to Crombie across to Schneid, but that's off his stick. Schneid trying to play it. Loose puck. Crombie can't get a stick on it. 67's will find it. McHugh passes it up to Vandenberg. Carrying it in. Krawchuk ahead, but we got a whistle for the offside. The arena here in Ottawa is so loud, they didn't hear that whistle right away.
Oh, man, what a couple shifts there. I mean, that Colts top line came out and started taking this game over, trying to shut down the 67's there, and then Ottawa trying to come back the other way, but offside there, negating that. Lots of open ice there. We went for a while without a stoppage as we finally get the TV timeout with 3:27 to go.
And we'll have to keep an eye on Ryder Fedorov, see when he goes off for that extra attacker. As this one has been one intense hockey game, and these two teams still have one more meeting back in Barrie to go before the playoffs. And if it's any indication, if these two teams do in fact meet in, say, the second round, we may be in for a classic series.
Could be very entertaining. You know, whoever ends up with that 2 and 3 seed's going to be in for quite the run, because if you're in that 2-3, let's just say, for example, because they're playing tonight is Barrie and Ottawa, you're going to have to play each other and then move on to the conference finals, and you're probably playing the Brantford Bulldogs, which would be another crazy series. And that's where the advantage could come to that 1 seed, especially not only with home ice, but maybe that 1 seed is able to get through, let's say, Sudbury and Peterborough or North Bay pretty easily.
And, of course, Brantford winning earlier this afternoon against the Kingston Frontenac. So the Bulldogs just continue to get points as the 67 send it in. He got through Hrebek, but misses the post. An innocent shot, it seemed, from the point. There's another chance, and Hrebek will snag that one. But my, oh my, Ottawa nearly got a gift, as Ben Hrebek may have misread that dump-in.
Snuck through him. That was similar to that goal against Jeremy Swayman the other day from from the red line and into the net. But well, you mentioned one more meeting between these two teams, two more between Barrie and Brantford, and kind of feels like through this stretch, if you're Barrie, you probably want to go at least 3-1. And I think it's especially important that you take both games on home ice against the Brantford Bulldogs. So if you could ever get this road game against the Ottawa 67's, that'll be so huge for points going down the stretch.
Colts win the face-off. Eliasson's going to send this one down the ice. Mishkok there to play it for Ottawa. Up ahead to Whitehead. Nick Whitehead passing this one over. Ekberg sends that one across. Foster had his stick lifted. Colts get it out. After it is Salandra. Salandra will send this one deep. Ends up in the corner. Mishkok there to play it for Ottawa. That's blocked by Wilmot. Puck's in the corner. Wilmot lost it along the boards. Gardner puts it behind the Ottawa net. There's Frankie Morelli. Morelli along the wing. Gets to the blue line. He's going to put it off the glass. There's going to be a delayed offside now against Ottawa. So the 67s have to regroup with 2:22 remaining. Fedorov still in his net, so we'll keep an eye on him as Kayshawn Aitchison sets up behind his own net. Aitchison skates this one ahead. Up to Zabeski. Zabeski's going to dump this one in. Ends up behind the net. Bodwin, first one on it for the Colts. Puck's in the corner. He's taken into the boards. Zabeski can't find it. It's behind him. Kuda's there. Sends it over to Mishkok and the Ottawa 67s will get it out. Picked up here by Bows. Bows into the attacking zone. His shot stopped by Harebic, and that's going to go out of play just as Ryder Fedorov reaches the bench. So the 67s, they're going to have the extra attacker.
A nice flip up the ice there by Mishkok and getting it to Bows. It was perfectly flipped to just get over top of Aitchison. Gets to Bows, who comes in. A great look there. We'll get a timeout here. And now, 1:52 to go. And Ottawa with an opportunity to tie this game. A game that was 3-3 going into the third. Now it's 6-5.
Yeah, it was 3-3, and then the Colts getting a string of power plays there. It started with that 4-minute double minor. Colts, they capitalized. Then it was a penalty when Gardner scored on the breakaway, so it was a 5-on-3, and then they score again, and then again make it 6-3 with Hemming's goal. And now Ottawa, they've clawed their way back into this, and this just, it goes to show this Ottawa team, they're no slouch.
No, they're going to fight, and they don't have that known talent. They don't, Brantford's got 5 first-round picks. Barrie's got 3 first-round picks. Ottawa, they don't have the NHL drafted talent that these other teams do, but they've come together as a great group. You saw Dave Cameron celebrating after his 1,000th game last weekend with a big win, and telling the group that it's never been with a group that's felt as close as they are. So, the Barrie Colts in their interviews, they talk a lot about how tight their group is, but this group in Ottawa just as tight. And that's led to a lot of success this season.
Face-off won by the Colts. Aitchison, he's going to look at the empty cage. It was right down the middle. Kayshawn Aitchison fired it from the far corner. And it's now 7-5.
Well, that's a statement to potentially put this one away. 1:47 to go. Still a little bit of hope for the 67s, but the feline for the exits is starting to come from the crowd here. What a shot from Kayshawn Aitchison, literally right in the middle of the net, all the way from the back left corner of the Colts end to find the back of the net.
So that's now 2 goals on the game for Aitchison. He's now up to 24, as it's now 7-5 for the Barrie Colts. 1:43 remaining. Fedorov making his way to the bench for the extra attacker again. Aitchison puts that one off the official, ends up in the neutral zone. Crombie can't get to it. Ekberg from his own blue line drops it back to Morelli. Frankie Morelli skates this one through, sends it deep. Kayshawn Aitchison back to play it. He'll send this one around. That gets the line, not out. Kept in by Mishkok. Down low to Msima. Back to Mishkok. He'll set things up. Morelli, one-timer. That's blocked by Passmore. Passmore's on top of the puck, sent down the ice, and that just goes wide. As the Colts were looking at that empty net again, and it's going to be icing.
Oh, that was Aitchison again, looking for the hat trick there, and nearly had it again, but just missed wide. We're going to get another timeout. With 1:07 to go here. What a third period. Gene said off air that he's given the period to me because he figured this would be the most entertaining one, and it certainly has been. 4 goals for Barrie, 2 for Ottawa. This game's still not done here with a minute to go.
Yeah, Ottawa still within 2. So the Barrie Colts, I believe they were the ones who called the timeout because of the icing. They can't make that line change. So give this unit a bit of a breather here. But with the Colts, as soon as they see that empty net, they're not afraid to take chances. And, we're even seeing at the National Hockey League level more often where teams will take that risk of an icing to try and get that puck into the empty cage.
Yeah, it's, the Colts, they like to fire it down a lot. It obviously kind of just depends on the situation. Obviously, Aitchison there, that first one, I mean, you're up by 1 and you've just come on the ice as well. So not like you're too tired. It doesn't really matter if it's an icing in that situation because you're staying on the ice anyways, and he finds the back of the net.
Face-off won by Ottawa, but they can't keep that one in at the point. We're now at the final minute of the third period as Ekberg sends it into the zone. Horebic will leave it there for Passmore. Gives it to Aitchison. Passes it up to Gardner. Gardner puts that one off the boards. Hemming going to go after that loose puck. He's got Beaudoin in front of the net. Email Hemming from the half boards to the net. Here's Beaudoin. He'll tap that one home. Looked like Hemming had eyes on the back of his head as he found Cole Beaudoin in front. And the Colts, they make it an 8-5 hockey game.
Yeah, Hemming just trying to send that one to the net and ended up a bit wide, but Beaudoin reads it perfectly. Knocks that one down to find the back of the net, put this game to bed. An 8-goal outing from the Barrie Colts was probably not on the bingo card for today's game. Ryder Fedorov, one of the best goaltenders out there in the OHL. And
well, that's now, according to Gene Pereira, that's a 5-point night for Cole Beaudoin.
Oh,
do you think he likes being back in his home arena?
And is it just me, but like, he can do that so quietly. Like,
exactly.
Obviously, he had a good night, but it didn't stand out as Cole Beaudoin was by far the best player on the ice tonight for Barrie. I mean, he's just slowly but surely, silently picked up 5 here.
He's Mr. Consistent with this Barrie Colts team as we're down to 18 seconds remaining. That's going to go deep. Chitteroni there to play it, sends it back to the point. Bedkowski across to Buick. Buick takes the shot. That's going to go over the net. Around the boards it goes. Chitteroni again in the corner. Gives that one up. Spitznagel has it in the corner, sends it around. And that will do it as the Barrie Colts come into the nation's capital and pull off an 8-5 victory over the Ottawa 67's.
Oh, what a game here for Barrie. The offense coming alive. Get a goal. Couple goals in the second there, and then 5 more here in the third. And like Gene mentioned, 5 points for Beaudoin, 4 for Emil Hemming, and then Kayshawn Aitchison and Brad Gardner, each with 2-goal efforts of their own. And for the Barrie Colts now, moving forward into a huge weekend here coming up as they got couple more big matchups. Obviously, Owen Sound, Barrie's kind of taken it to them the last 2 meetings between the 2 teams, so they'll be looking to get some revenge on Thursday, and then Friday, that London Knights team, they've done a pretty good job over the last couple of weeks, so you got to be careful of them, and then, of course, that big matchup with the Brantford Bulldogs.
And that's now 7 wins in a row here for the Barrie Colts, as they've just been rolling. One of the hottest teams in the Ontario Hockey League, and coming into this one, this was going to be a great test just to see where this Barrie Colts team stood against the Ottawa 67's, a team that's been challenging for that top speed. They had the top seed going into that game Thursday against the Peterborough Petes, but now that Brantford's gotten some wins and Ottawa uncharacteristically on a 3-game losing streak. So things getting really fascinating at the top of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it's a really tough week for the 67's. Obviously, you beat Brantford and it's okay. How do we build off of this? And they came back and they weren't too good in that Sunday game against Owen Sound. They played good, but at the end of the day, Owen Sound kept in that one and was nearly able to beat Ottawa. And then this week, obviously, you lose to Peterborough. Not what you want. And then this weekend, you're Kitchener and Barrie. I know they're 2 tough opponents, but that's 2 home games for the 67's. You think you're hoping to at least get one of them, especially here against Barrie after the way the Colts played the last time these 2 teams faced off here. But 12 goals over 2 games for Barrie here in Ottawa at TD Place.
And all 3 meetings so far between Barrie and Ottawa, the road team has won. So it will be very interesting when the 67's make their final trip to the Saddlein Arena. Will they be able to keep that trend going? Because these two teams, I feel as though they may be on a collision course to meet at some point in the postseason. And if you can't win on your own home ice, that could be a problem. So it's really going to be fascinating to see how the remaining games play out for Barrie against Ottawa and the Brantford Bulldogs, as all three of those games are back in Barrie.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like you mentioned, Barrie and Ottawa, they're kind of a reverse of Barrie Kingston in the playoffs last year, where it was just win at home, win at home, win at home, win at home for 7 straight games. But thinking back on that first game between Barrie and Ottawa, that's kind of the game that introduced us, at least, to Ryder Fedorov, because he had such an amazing game there, and then kind of following after that, he's been so good ever since. But against the Barrie Colts, he allowed 6 tonight. He allowed 4 against them back a couple of months ago. He made a couple nice saves, but Barrie's kind of figured him out over the last 2 games against him, and that's going to be big going into the playoffs, because Ryerson Leanders, the last time the Colts played him down at the Madhouse in Brantford, they kind of got beaten up on by
got away from them.
It got away from them, and Leanders was a big part of that in net, making some nice saves. And Barrie's going to remember that third period. Lots of rough stuff after the game as well between those two teams, and it's going to be interesting to see come Saturday.
So I think some people are going to be surprised by the 3 stars. So I'm just putting that out there. But our 3 stars presented by Craighurst Crossing by Georgian Communities. New homes, minutes from North Barrie, where inspired living meets small town charm. Now, I'm going to put it out there. We do not pick the 3 stars. Our 3rd star tonight, Spencer Bowes, a goal and 2 assists. So yeah, he had a good game. Emil Hemming, 2 goals, 2 assists. He's your 2nd star. 1st star, Brad Gardner, 2 goals and an assist. I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing Bodwin or Aitchison mentioned, but I'm almost wondering too if maybe Gardner's the 1st star because this is his last game in Ottawa.
Yeah, he played good, probably, or maybe his final game in Ottawa. So I think that's fair. And Hemming, obviously,
he had a good game.
He had a good game,
yep.
But that's kind of the interesting thing, though, is that for the Colts, they had a lot of guys that could have been chosen as the 3 stars of the game tonight. And Bowes as well on Ottawa had a pretty solid game, a goal, 2 assists. So yeah, it's an 8-5 game. There's a lot of candidates for, it can go 2 ways because, a big scoring game, you got all these candidates. Well, if it's 2-1, it's pretty easy. Game winner and then the 2 goalies, so.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see now as the Colts prepare for that 3-3. It gets underway Thursday at home against the Owen Sound Attack. We'll have that game on Rogers TV, but then we're on the road to London, the one and only trip to the Canada Life Place. It's never easy playing in London, and that's going to be in the middle of the road trip. We'll have that broadcast on the channel, so click subscribe so you're notified when that live stream gets underway. And then the big game, Saturday against the Brantford Bulldogs. I'm sure the Barrie Colts have that one marked on their calendar, but that's a tough way to end that 3-3 next weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge test for this Barrie Colts team. They're going to be a bit tired, but no excuses. It's probably going to be the message in the locker room. Hopefully, there's no big snowstorms that affect.
Don't say snowstorms.
That was a controversial topic down in Brantford last time we were there with the snowstorm. So hopefully, it's clean weather, nice weather out, and everyone can just have a good game.
So that's going to do it here from TD Place Arena in Ottawa. A big 8-5 victory for the Barrie Colts, extending their winning streak to 7 games. So our next broadcast will be on Friday from London. Make sure you tune in for that. The puck drop is at 7 o'clock. Live stream will get underway at 6:45. So make sure you're subscribed so you're notified when that broadcast gets underway. But for Josh McCann and Gene Pereira, I'm Mike Poirier saying so long from Ottawa, where it's a 8-5 final for the Colts.